let's jump into episode 121. Hey, listen, if you're watching on YouTube or even if you're listening, go check out our YouTube channel. Not only have we had a lot more content recently about whether it's things we're hyped about, and I have got another 2 or 3 of those in the pipeline. We've also got some gameplay demos that Dan has posted. We just did a spoiler cast for The Quarry. So we're going to try to keep doing additional content. So keep checking out the YouTube channel. Thank you for those of you who do watch over there. And but we'll keep doing our weekly show like this as well. That's on audio also, if that's your thing. So I want to kick things off tonight with Game of the Year watch. I want to take a look at where we are right now. We're about halfway through the year, and just get an idea. You guys start thinking through like what's released this year that is kind of on my short list of favorites. So you'd be thinking about that while I read off some of the top
Outriders World Slayer.
That's an expansion. That's not a game. It's
DLC for
DLC
for one of the worst
Game of the Year
7
every single year.
Okay.
It's not a game or a DLC. It's an experience.
Yeah.
Thank you. That one time I actually agree with Dan.
Yeah, well, experiences they can be bad. They can be bad. I've had bad experiences.
It's true.
That was one of them. That game.
Before we each share our kind of some of our favorites, doesn't have to be ranked. Just like, all right, here's 3 to 5 or whatever of the games I've really liked this year, if you have that many. But here's the best selling games of the year, and of course, NPD does not discriminate according to release date. It's whenever it released. It's just top selling digital and retail combined. At number 10, this is as of May, so it's not quite the full half year view, but it's most of it. Number 10 is Madden 22, Madden NFL 22. Number 9 is Mario Kart 8. Still, who is still buying this game? Like, who doesn't own this game yet?
I mean, it must be people
all the same people who don't own Grand Theft Auto 5.
It's crazy. And keep in mind, Nintendo does not include their digital sales. This is retail only. So I imagine it's even more, right?
You know what it is? It's dumb little kids losing their copies, and then their mommies have to buy them a new one.
I know. Well, listen, if you go to Amazon and look, because they'll give you top selling lists of all different kinds. If you look at the top selling games 2022, Nintendo games are all at the top. Pokemon, like it's just mostly physical versions of those games, but Pokemon Arceus, I think.
I just think
Arceus,
Kirby, yeah.
I just think it's
Kirby.
Kids are becoming of age all the time. Like we have kids
every day. We have more
time.
8-year-olds.
Yeah. So when that happens, you've got moms and dads going, okay, well, what do we get them? Nintendo. Okay, well, what game? Mario Kart's like one of the first games you buy.
Yep,
yeah,
it is
for sure.
And then
for sure.
stuff like Kirby and Pokemon, of course, are number. So speaking of Kirby, Kirby is number 8 as of May of best-selling games this year. I don't have the numbers; it just has the rankings.
That's actually surprising.
Gran Turismo 7 at number 7 as of May. Call of Duty Vanguard, which Derek loved, at number 6.
That woke campaign, yeah.
I'm still not going to play it. Number 5
same.
was MLB The Show 22. Which of course we know is, I don't know if that includes, I'm looking at now, that does not include Xbox or Switch digital sales, obviously, because it was on Xbox Game Pass, so it doesn't include that.
Well, that's pretty impressive. Or again, just another result of this year's sucking.
Could be.
Yeah.
Horizon 2 Forbidden West at number 4. Number 3 is Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's not digital sales included either. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga at number 2. And number 1 is Elden Ring. I think that's 15 million. Is that what I saw? I feel like I saw that a couple months ago. It's a
pretty high number, yeah.
Yeah, 15 mil. Wow.
I think it was. I could be wrong. Anyway, so those are your top 10 of sales this year. A mixture of stuff from last year, a mixture of stuff like Mario Kart 8 that just never goes away. So all kinds of stuff all mixed together there. So if that's the best selling video games, what about some of the best ranked video games? So I put some of that together too, in case you guys are curious. And we actually had a talk in our chat recently about how important the number rankings are. And I know for some folks, the rankings are really important. And for some folks, they get really mad at the number ranking. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't put all the weight into it, but if a game has a lot of critical reviews and the average score is very high, and the user score, depending on the platform, what is Metacritic or on Steam, if that's also high, you've got my attention, especially if it's a genre that I like. So that actually just happened recently with the game that I'm playing. I'll tell you guys about. So yeah, I'm not saying that the Metacritic score means everything, but I do think it's significant enough. So according to Metacritic, games that released this year, number 1, we've talked about this, Elden Ring at 96. which is interesting. A top Metacritic and top selling game of the year so far. Rogue Legacy 2 is at a 90. That's number 2. The newly released Neon White has over 20-something reviews right now. It's at an 89 on PC, and I think it's 86 on Switch. So, and that's the one that I just got and I started playing. I'll tell you about it. Horizon Forbidden West is at 88. It's number 4. Norco, it's kind of text adventure game, cyberpunk, really dark. It's at 88. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge also at 88, which is nice. I don't know if that's surprising to you guys. That's surprising to me that game is that high, which is great. I love it.
Yeah,
it's
the nostalgia, but they did like a really good job with it. So like it is reviewing pretty decent. So
it is. Gran Turismo 7 at 87, Ollie Ollie World at 87, and Total War Warhammer 3 at 86. Those are your top 10 Metacritic games so far this year. So, as Derek said, like this has not been a deluge of too much to play, like too many like huge games to play. I shouldn't say too much to play, but too many huge new games to play. But I do think there's plenty on my plate and on the backlog. I don't feel like there's nothing to play.
Which is a weird feeling because I feel the same way. I feel like, yeah, I got things to play. I have a list. There's 10 on there. There's more than 10 games I've enjoyed this year. Kind of a bummer year though. Still, like I have a lot of positive things to say and a lot of things to play and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like we're still waiting for that like big God of War, that big Spider-Man, or that big that big thing. Elden Ring came out and we got that one, but I think
Horizon 2, those were kind of like.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, those are the two, and those obviously two
within a week of each other, right? They kind of released within a week of each other.
I don't know. There's something that feels hollow and empty about this year still, despite there still being a couple of those.
Three big games for me, obviously Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West, but I'm a big Dying Light fan, so Dying Light 2 was a huge deal to me. But those 3 games came out within a month of each other. So we're almost in July, so we're 6 months through, and for me to only say, well, 1 month had 3 games I cared about, all the other months, the last 5 months, I've just been like, I buy stuff, but I've been mainly focusing on older stuff, which I don't mind. Like, I was intrigued by A Plague's Tale Requiem. It looked cool, but I've been playing A Plague's Tale
Innocence.
Forgetting them. Innocence for 3 years now. Like, I'll literally go in, play a chapter, get an achievement so it counts towards my Xbox rewards, and then I leave it because I'm like, I hate this game, I hate this game, I hate this game. So I finally actually beat it now. But I only beat it because I was like, all right, well, when Requiem comes out, I'm going to want to jump into it, and I'm going to be mad that I never finished Innocence. So because this year's been so slow, I can play a game like that. I'm playing Knights of the Old Republic again on Switch for, I think it's my 5th or 6th time playing through that game. So I'm getting to go back and enjoy older games or play games that I haven't beat. Which is good. It's just part of the excitement. I don't know if I feel like you guys are the same as me. That's why we buy a lot of games. Part of the excitement is just hyping up a game, buying it. I mean, yes, the playing it's fun, but it's the excitement of like getting a new release and playing it for that first week. And I just feel like I've only had that excitement, I think, about 3 times this year.
Yeah, I mean, by this time,
legitimately excited.
By this time in most years, I look at my top 10 list and I go, this could be the list, for the end of the year, and I feel pretty good at it. I look at my list now and I go, well, I like all these games. They're not list makers, though. You know what I mean? The amount of not list makers on my list this year it's staggering,
It is tradition for a lot of those games to make a list is September, October, November. So we'll see how that works out this year. I mean,
but we kind of know what those months look like right now, and they look good, but they don't look great. So
I've got 5 that I think will end up making my top 10 unless the rest of this year just really delivers. Like I expect to enjoy Gotham Knights and Modern Warfare 2. I expect to enjoy that one. There's a bunch that I expect that I'll like a lot, maybe even a couple that I love, but I think these 5 will be somewhere in my top 10. And that's going to be Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West. I think no matter what happens, those are going to be in my top 10. regardless.
Be in my top
probably right in the very top actually. V Rising, Ninja Turtles, and the Quarry are 3 others that, as of right now, I just enjoyed so much for what those games were trying to do and how they delivered. Like, that's another thing, that these are very niche games. So if you don't like kind of arcade style brawlers, that's fine that Ninja Turtles isn't your thing. I understand if you didn't like it. If you don't like kind of slasher flick, Telltale style, story-based games, Quarry is not going to interest you. V Rising, if you don't like kind of survival Diablo style combat, you're not going to like V Rising even a little bit. It's a little punishing as well. So those are very niche games, and I recognize that. But those to me are some of the ones I've enjoyed the most this year. I think they'll make the top 10. It depends on what else comes out. There's others that I've enjoyed. Like, I thought Sniper Elite 5, I did finish that. I thought that was pretty fun. That's going to be in my Swimming in Sevens, along with stuff like Aiden Chronicles Rising. For me, stuff like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and Ollie Ollie World, I enjoyed a lot, but they're going to be in that kind of honorable mention world for me personally, I think. Even Tunic, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I played about 2 hours or so worth of the demo. I might end up buying the full game and giving it a real fair shot at some point. But from what I've played, that's also in that kind of honorable mention bracket for me personally. So
Lego a game like that would normally, and Lego Star Wars, these games would normally be in that honorable mentions bracket to me. But these games are in my top 10 right now.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
So it's like, again, so it's like, it's one of those years where it's like, not mad at these games, these games, enjoy a lot of these games, but like, boy, you guys aren't list makers, and I don't know what you're doing on my list right now. But
same with like Dying Light 2 and Weird West, some of these games that, and even WWE 2K22. I've enjoyed all of those in different ways. None of them truly are just like making me desperate to get back to the controller to keep playing them. Only a handful have done that for me this year. Dan, what about you? What are some of your favorites from this year?
Well, obviously, that was at Babylon's Fall.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Great details
games as a
Crossfire X. Those two are right.
Crossfire X, absolutely. Stranger of Paradise. No.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, it's Elden Ring and Horizon.
Don't hate it on that game.
I mean, I hate it. I still at this point, it's probably doesn't even matter. I wanted to do like a review in a very sarcastic, like really just lay down some stuff. It just doesn't matter. But I said what I had to say about it.
Even the people, which there are a lot who like that game, don't care.
Yeah, it's true.
They're like,
that came out.
That game legitimately had potential to be, in my opinion, a Swimming in Sevens game, but it is much lower than that. So.
Fair enough.
Strangers of Paradise is really good.
I've heard the same thing. I've only heard
really
good things about it. Dan is the only person I know in actual
literally real life. The worst thing about it is how it looks. That's it. The lighting's jacked up. Even
I gotta say there's gotta be more worse.
Yeah, there's absolutely
like
the level design is unbelievably terrible.
Yeah.
So
and that stuff would bother me, like uninspired level design and stuff like that.
But what about other good, Dan? Anything else? You said Elden Ring and Horizon are
Elden Ring, Horizon are probably at the top. Kirby was surprisingly really good. It's not a top 5 contender.
I need to play that one. I bought it and I never played it.
But it's legitimately really fun. Like, I was shocked by how fun it was. And then as you get later on in the stages, like having to actually use the sort of dodge mechanic, like you don't have to use that.
I haven't even opened it.
Yeah, well, no love for Kirby.
Sleeves
I haven't even purchased it yet. So
and Dan, the way you can even kind of supercharge or upgrade the specials that you do get, that's really cool too, because now they have a brand new animation and new abilities.
Yeah, like literally leveling up those abilities and like going back to like the town where all the little waddle-dee dudes are walking around and like just like a little town. Like, it's super fun.
I thought it would just be cute, like, and fun for kids. It's legitimately a fun, well-made platforming adventure.
Yeah.
Really well done.
I think Kyle would like it. On a year it's been as slow as it is.
No.
You'll like it.
Yeah, I played the demo. It's a hard no for me. No thank you.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a shame.
Did you like Mario Odyssey, Mario 3D?
That was really nice, Daniel. You need to come at him a little bit more.
Is Jeff available?
I mean, I'm not you. I'm not just unnecessarily aggressive.
Oops.
But and then I just wanted to shout out to Chrono Cross. Obviously, that's a remaster of a PS1 game, but it's one of my favorite RPGs ever. So that's not a Final Fantasy game.
So good.
I know.
I got that for free. It was great.
I'm literally never giving you a game ever.
I
again.
still can't believe you like
Literally.
guilted Dan into giving it to you, and then you just crapped all over it.
It wasn't that he guilted me. I was just like, all right, you know what? I'll give him this chance to see if he actually might try it. I knew he wasn't gonna like it, but I was like, I'll give him this chance. Never again. Never again.
Oh my goodness.
I told him in private that I was purposely being a dick. He didn't have to give it to me, but I appreciate that he gave it to me. Yes. And I did give it a fair shot, but then I realized
I don't know
less
if
than an hour.
If you're saying that it's not good, then you didn't, because it's a good RPG game. Like,
yes,
it really is a good RPG.
It's an old RPG game, and that game has frame rate issues. So never mind the frame rate issues. Plus, you have to read everything.
If they update the frame rate, maybe then it's worth.
No, well, he has to read everything.
I mean, maybe if the game had like chaos in it, I would have liked it more. But it didn't have chaos.
It was just not chaotic enough. I get it. I get it.
Did you eat already?
A couple.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I did. I'm good. Thanks.
I haven't yet. What are you cooking?
Yeah, Kyle could go for something.
Dairy Queen, apparently.
So there's a couple of games coming out the rest of this year I wanted to highlight real quick that these are on my short list for I'm excited to play these. In addition to stuff like your mainline stuff like your Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, but here's just some that jump out to me. Plague Tale Requiem, Forspoken, Gotham Knights, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Nightingale, which is scheduled for this year. We'll see if it lands or not. I know it's already out, but I have it on my list. I just bought it on the Steam sale, and that's Rogue Legacy 2, Steel Rising, Stray, Callisto Protocol, 2 Point Campus, and WrestleQuest are some of the ones that I'm excited to play later this year. And in addition to some of the bigger ones that everyone's gonna play.
The whole company's here. This is like a company-wide meeting.
I gotta go, guys. Bye.
Oh, I got a concert to go to. I'm sorry, guys.
What am I doing here?
You're super late.
Oh, look, it's a message for Derek right behind Jeff.
That's exactly what that is.
Before we move on from this topic, Jeff, just off the top of your head, what have been in 2022 games that are like, all right, half of the year, I think these will probably be in consideration. We're doing a kind of a game of the year watch to kick things off. So anything off the top of your head that you're like, yeah, this is going to be up there somewhere?
Horizon's at the top for me, just by default, even though I'm still waiting for that game that's like, definitively my game of the year. And that game is really, really good to me, so that's why it's up there at the top. But not saying I hate it, guys. You guys think I hate it?
Sounds like it. Sounds like a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
I
like
don't
you
hate it.
Gave it a 7 out of 10 just now. That's what it sounds like.
7.5. Which means I hate it. I hate it. Like I told Derek on his post in the group, STFU, I mean Sifu.
Sifu, good call on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I still need to play that because I legitimately wanted to play that. So.
It's very good.
So good. So good.
What about will the Quarry, you think, be at like in the mix somewhere for you?
Maybe in top 5, just because of, you guys know I'm the opposite of Dan. I don't beat games. I'm not a pro gamer. So like it's gonna probably end up in the top 5 just because I beat it. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is probably gonna be up there. I love that game. Love revisiting it. It's just so much fun.
Yep.
That's all I got so far. Maybe if I played more Evil Dead. Kyle, you got that one, right?
No, I was working nights and I was like, when am I gonna play this?
Gotcha.
When am I going to get anybody
that
to play
that
this
looks
game?
like a you want to play with your friends kind of game.
Exactly.
It does.
And I was going to get it so Jeff and I could play it. I was like, when are our schedules ever going to align?
They will soon. It sounds
they will soon. Yeah.
But yeah, that game, I feel like if I played more of that, I would probably have that in the running somewhere because it's got all the right ingredients from the bit that I did play.
All right. We also talked about best-selling games of the year, Metacritic's top games of the year, and then some of our favorites. Anything else you guys are looking forward to the rest of the year? Something you anticipate might hit that top 10 just based on what you know about it or about the
Definitely
pedigree?
Callisto Protocol, as long as that thing sticks. I'm so excited for that.
This is legal, by the way.
Sure it is. Sure it is, Joe. Are you already on edibles and you're lying to us?
Down.
Yeah, I ate a gummy before I jumped on. That's
yeah,
okay,
I think Callisto Protocol, it's gonna have to do some crazy stuff not to deliver. Like what they've shown so far, I'm like, this game's totally gonna deliver. Like I would be surprised at this point. If it's not great.
I heard something interesting recently where they're like, yeah, 50% of the game's melee combat. I'm like, Oh.
All right.
I
It's gonna be brutal.
So
I'm
it's gonna be
super
brutal.
exactly. Yeah, think about like your weapons like bashing and slicing into these things.
I'm
so
just gonna be walking into every fan that I can to watch my character get sucked into the thing.
The director also said like if you like most likely you'll never see like the same like body horror more than once.
Wow.
So it's like if
They
if
have
you
that
shoot
many.
yeah, if you shoot someone, you know, like a whole bunch, like the way that the holes like go into them, like it's not like it's not or it's procedural. It's not like scripted or whatever. Like
That's
scripted
art right there.
Yeah.
It's
That's
more like
real
dynamic, like Last of Us Part
It's
2.
dynamic. Thank you. It's dynamic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
Like Last of Us Part 2 is like depending on what angle you jump at them, that's how the gravity takes them down and how they die and what they exclaim when they die or whatever.
Yeah. My
Or
dog.
Yeah. You killed my dog, you bitch.
Or like
so
when
good.
someone dies and they find a body, they're like Frank or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
They got Frank.
Yeah.
Frank.
Is Frank okay?
All right. So that's kind of our game of the year watch. As Jeff would say, we're halfway there, everybody. We're halfway
We're
there.
literally
This time it applies.
halfway there. Yeah.
We're halfway there. We did.
Plague Tale Requiem is definitely on my list for
Does
game of the
it
year
have
watch
a
list for the rest of the year.
release
Anticipated.
date?
October 18th.
18th, yeah.
October 18th.
Is it an Xbox exclusive?
But it's on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, day one. Yeah.
I think it's
Xbox
coming to
owned them
PlayStation
now.
too, isn't it? Isn't it coming to PlayStation?
I think so.
Let me check. I'll check because I thought Xbox owned them now.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, despite me saying that I don't think there's a lot of games coming out the rest of the year, I have a big list of games I'm really excited for that I'll just cruise through real quick. Xenoblade Chronicles I think is going to be awesome. Saints Row I think is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Midnight Fight Express I think is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a big Earth Defense Force fan. The 6th one's coming out of that.
Those are so dumb. I love them so much.
They're so
They really are.
Everyone needs to buy those so we can play those co-op. It's the best co-op experience ever. Marvel's Midnight Sun I think is still going to be good. You know. Forspoken, Scorn, you know. Tim, you brought up Gotham Knights and Modern Warfare 2, you know. I think those are slam dunks. Pokemon for me, Callisto Protocol, as Dan brought up. There's a lot of stuff coming out, you know what I mean? These are all list makers, you know what I mean? So, you know.
Potentially.
Maybe by the end of the year, like, I look at my list and I go, you know what? I don't hate you. You're okay looking.
You're all right, year.
You are forgiven.
Yeah,
and for me, I still think Elden Ring and Horizon are gonna end up being my top 2 games, and I don't think anything that's been shown has a chance. I'm not saying it won't, but it doesn't feel like it has a chance to pass that. And so that's
kind of feel the
kind of
same
a
way.
bummer for me because I'm like, all right, I'm cool with
It's
awesome
sucks the
games
excitement
coming
out.
out. Yeah, but I'm used to, like Dan was saying, you know, hey, September, October, November is when we get our big hitters. Well, for me, my big hitters came in 1 week apart. I think that's what it was. And
there's no way God of War's coming out this year. I really want to double.
I don't know. I mean, what's his face is pretty insistent, but I mean,
if
we'll see.
God of War,
Corey.
if God of War comes out, then
Multiple sources,
that's the only game that has a shot for me. And
Yeah.
I didn't like that Horizon and Elden Ring came out so close because they were like a week apart.
Yeah.
I'm going back and playing through Horizon right now. I'm playing it on, well, obviously PS5 at 60 frames per second. The first time I played through, I played it at 30 frames per second, which it does make a difference. Like I think it looks way better now after the patch on my screens, both my screens. So I didn't try it on just one. It's way smoother, it looks crisper. But the reason I'm bringing it up is that I'm playing through it and I'm like, dude, it's like a totally different experience because I was so obsessed with Elden Ring, I would get annoyed by the littlest things with Horizon. I'm like, I'm dying every 5 seconds. This is stupid. And I wasn't taking the time to learn the game. Now I'm playing the game like it's Monster Hunter. All I'm doing is hunting. All I care about is like upgrading my
really
weapons.
focus on their weaknesses and like certain arrows are really helpful, you know.
That's what happened with the first Horizon. It was, you know, Breath of the Wild, and then I was just like, oh, why can't I just climb anything I want in Horizon? And like it was like I was blaming Horizon because Breath of the Wild.
I think Horizon ended up getting a lot of blame both times for 1 and 2 because of its direct competition that came out a week before.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah. Well, Derek, I like the Monster Hunter comparison. I think that's a fun way to play that game.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, man, I didn't think anything would top Elden Ring, but let me get through this. If Aloy would just STFU, if she would just STFU.
God's sakes.
All right, well, let me
It
give you
could
a
be
couple
game
of
of the year.
God damn
let
it.
me give you a couple of dark horse games to consider that might surprise some of us. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe they won't deliver. But Witchfire, the people who made The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, that's their action, kind of BioShock looking action
That trailer
fantasy
looked
game.
really cool.
So
Is that coming out
Witchfire,
this year?
it's 2022. We'll see.
Okay.
It might not. We'll see. But
So,
it was
God of War
announced.
definitely coming out.
It was announced like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, but it's a small team. So it's one of those things. So we'll wait and see. Lord of the Rings Gollum is hitting in September. What if that ends up being an excellent game? Maybe not. Maybe that'll
be a
just
good
be
stealth game. Who knows?
It could be, yeah.
I
Something
don't know. I watched. It looks terrible to me.
I
Am
gotta
I
be
the only
honest.
one that thought
I
it
gotta
looked
be honest
terrible?
with Derek on this. I think it looks stupid.
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
love
gonna
Lord of
fix
the
it.
Rings.
fine.
So
It might be
terrible.
bad,
Yeah.
but it might be fun to play. Who knows? Steel Rising, new IP from the Greedfall team. That
Oh,
could
yeah.
end up being a lot of fun, or it could be just one of those really great swimming in sevens games. Like who knows?
Again, that Team Spiders. It's like every game they definitely seem like they're learning and growing and doing a bit better
Well,
each time. You know.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. As a Spider fan, like a big fan, probably the biggest on the show, I'm a little
Yes.
worried about Steel Rising because that's their attempt at doing like Bloodborne, and I don't know if they have the ability to do that.
Yep.
Like they're good at mimicking like old school BioWare RPGs, which is they're making Greedfall 2,
Right.
which is going to
Oh,
stick
yeah.
to the whole BioWare thing. So Steel Rising makes sense that they're going to be like, well, we don't want to release an exact same game just in a different setting. So they went for this I watched a preview on it. They're definitely going for the Bloodborne / Dark Souls style. I still don't know if they can do it. And by the way, maybe that's why they picked robots. Your character still runs like grass. So they didn't fix that, and
Wait,
I'm like,
your character
maybe
runs
that's
like
why
what?
they went with robot.
What'd you say?
Like it has a stick in their ass.
Oh, okay, all right. Because you broke up right there, and it sounded like you said your character runs like grass. I was like, I don't know what that looks
Smoking grass and has a stick in their ass.
Real quick, a couple other things
There
coming
you
out
go.
later this year. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is still like slated for 2022. I don't know if it will land or not.
Dude,
That's supposed to-
Ubisoft. I don't know what's going on with Ubisoft. I feel like they just like
There's-
went off the deep end, dude. Like, it's
Well, there's
They're
some
doing
leaks-
the opposite of what Blizzard's doing. You know,
They're
like
very
they're both
quiet.
in trouble for similar things, but
Yep.
Ubisoft's being really quiet and Blizzard's
They're
being
very
really
quiet, and I know
Yeah.
that their income is way down right now. I saw some news about some of the leadership maybe like taking pay cuts or stepping aside or something. I know they're not making a lot of money right now.
yeah.
But their Skull and Bones pirate game is there's
yeah.
been a leak that it's supposed to be revealed next month, maybe released within a couple of months after that. And Mario plus Rabbids is supposed to land this year. So we'll see. We'll see if either of those things actually deliver. Little Devil Inside still could land this
dude.
year.
Oh my god, I forgot about that one.
I hope so, dude.
Still could. God of War Ragnarok, of course. I think the leaks and rumors and all these different things I hear from my uncle who works at wherever, like all those things keep popping up. I have no idea. I literally think it's a coin flip. Like if you were to ask me, I was like, I can't pick. It's a coin flip if it comes out this year. I don't know. But if it does, that to me is an instant candidate for that top spot. We'll just see how it all shakes out. And don't forget about Hogwarts Legacy. I think that game is it's gone quiet a little bit, but it says holiday still. Everything that I've looked
It
at.
does,
Now,
yeah.
But now it's
Well,
quiet. So it's
they
like
they gave
okay,
us that like couple that showing where they like unveiled it, and then there was
They
a
showed a
couple
lot.
other videos. So yeah, I mean,
they did like a 15-minute gameplay thing, but
yeah.
I'm assuming with the game that big, with that many details, they have to do a lot of QA
Oh sure.
on that
yeah.
bad boy. So I would not be surprised at all to see that become a 2023 game either. We'll see.
I think they were waiting on the verdict for the Johnny Depp trial because they're going to put him in the game as Grindelwald.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Because
Is there,
WB loves taking risks like that.
Is there a spell where you cast a pile of poop? Because then they could just they could just like put Amber Heard as the poop, just have her poop.
Defekitis.
No, as long as the new Hogwarts game has Ezra Miller's character in it, we'll be good. We'll be good to go.
Exactly.
As long as-
Man, what a
They
problem.
They can't find them to do the mocap. They can't find them to do the mocap.
like unbelievable. Okay,
my
last one I
Johnny
wanted to
Depp and
mention.
Ezra had a lot of scenes together too.
Last one I wanted to mention.
God
True.
damn it.
Yeah, he was. Anyway, last one I wanted to mention. Bayonetta 3 is still supposedly supposed to hit this year.
It's not. Yeah.
right now
Does
we
it
haven't
exist
heard any-
anymore? Or is it...
Oh, I think it.
We've seen that like one trailer of gameplay.
From what we heard towards the end of last year, the idea was that it's almost done. We're polishing. So
Right.
either he was straight up lying, very possible, or they found some stuff they didn't expect, also very possible.
Well,
or it's going to be part of some upcoming Nintendo Direct and releasing in September or something.
I hope. God, I really hope so.
mean,
I hope all these games get announced and come out this year, but like it's just like.
I mean,
I'm with you.
Maybe it will be a December game.
Worked out that way this year, did it? You know, for a lot
Could
of
be
games.
December. Yeah, could be December.
Similar with Metroid Prime, like they were just dead silent with Bayonetta 3, and then they finally showed it, and they showed gameplay. That's really important.
They did.
And
That's
I think
important.
when they
it.
do that,
I
so
thought so too. Yeah, they did show a lot.
I think Nintendo's really good about not like they'll announce a game, but they'll go quiet. It's pretty normal before they'll really start talking about it, and then they'll
And
really
then they won't
start
shut up
talking
about it, like Splatoon 3.
yeah, until it's like
Hmm.
it releases 3 months later.
Splatoon
So
3.
if we start hearing some Bayonetta news in the next month or two, we might be getting it in November, December.
It's fine. I mean, the game, it's not an online game. There's not a lot of complicated design there, you know.
Yeah, it looks Switch ready. The graphics look.
Yeah.
That's not a knock. It just
Don't-
looks like. Switch
Don't forget, Nintendo has no problem sitting on games that are completed until it
Yeah.
makes sense on their calendar.
Yeah.
Like Advance Wars is, from what I've heard, the reboot of that is pretty much ready, but they're just.
I
waiting.
heard it was ready to come out in December at its normal release date.
just
and
waiting.
Just,
I
like,
wonder if
yeah,
I
they're just kind of sitting on it. You know?
Mhm. Yep. So I wouldn't be
wanna,
surprised if Bayonetta 3 is actually pretty close, and they're just like still squashing some bugs and waiting, and they're just like, no, we're like their calendar. We talked about this last week. The Nintendo calendar for the rest of this year is looking pretty solid. Like they don't
Like,
really
like
need
Platinum-
another game.
Platinum proper did make that game, right? Bayonetta 3. No one. That
Yeah,
game
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get
Yeah, but
passed off or
Nintendo's
anything.
publishing it.
So,
it's,
so maybe all the people who should have been working on Babylon's Fall were actually working on Bayonetta 3 this entire time.
Thank you. That's
there
good.
was no
That's
there was
why
no saving
Babylon-
Babylon's. There was
I
no
like that.
saving
You know,
Babylon.
that's once upon a time, Babylon's Fall had the entirety
Babylon.
of Bayonetta 2, behind it. But like at some point, someone was like, "Let's just make Bayonetta 3," and then just left like the D
Go
team.
your
and they-
head. Go your
I really
head.
God damn it. I really want Forspoken to do well.
So do I.
Just because that's kind of been a little nebula like, what was
I
going
hope
on
it's
with that.
good.
They pushed it back.
Yeah.
Because I think that team deserves it after so basically they're the team that sort of carved off with Tabata. Tabata was the guy that was directing 15. That the reins were handed to him, and then he got he quit, I think. He left Square Enix, but there was kind of some behind the scenes turmoil.
So much drama.
So I think that team deserves a win. Because they're also using the same engine with from 15, which was kind of a mess. So if that turns out really well, it's really fun to play, and it actually has a decent story.
Yeah.
Then
it's
that
good.
could be a good win
Yep.
for them.
I am excited for that. I hope that it delivers. All right.
Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Kitty cat game. Stray. That's
Stray.
a Dark Horse.
Oh,
game
yes.
there, right there.
You know what? I'm so excited that's on PS Plus day one. Like that's Sony's first foray
Yeah.
into this day one thing.
Last time they did that with what's that one game? It's not Twisted Metal, but
Destruction All Stars.
Oh,
what's
Destruction.
the game? Yeah, it makes me feel like that game's just gonna be trash. That's why
That
they're giving
wasn't-
it away free.
That was
They gave Rezo-
They
gave
waited
Rezo
and
Gun
then
for
put it
free.
on PS
Okay.
Plus like
Rezo
a
Gun
week
was
later, right?
Reset though. That's a good point. But Reset, this is their new subscription service, and I don't think they
That's
want to
true.
launch it with their first day and date game as a dud. Like Destruction All Stars was going to be a full price game, and then they made it PS Plus, which made everyone go, "This is pretty bad, isn't it? This game's going to be bad."
Yeah, man.
Aggressive
Yeah, I
and
think-
mediocre.
I think
Yeah.
Stray looks like it looks quality, whether it's your type
It's
of
a
game
$40.
or not.
It's a $40 game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
the price.
I think the buzz on Stray is very high. So People
As
like
long
cats.
as long as you get to walk along the ledge of
People
something
do
and
like
knock
cats.
People like
vases
cats,
off
man.
the edges, that's
Oh,
all.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Everything.
just want to be chaotic, as you are.
I
as
want a
cat.
trophy for
wanna
just
scratch
knocking
people for
over
no reason.
random objects. you
Yeah,
know?
just
like 1,000.
hauling
of
them off the edge.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
just saying, where are all the games were your dogs? I just feel like this is
Yeah,
a little
this is
specious.
This
This
is
is a little
Make,
specious.
make dog games great again.
I think
Caniness.
that's a little playing favorites here a little bit.
You know
Internet.
that actually be a good ranking game for us. We got stuff like Okami, right? Was it Okami? Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you're
Okami,
like
yeah.
a wolf deity
Or
in
like
that.
a
Yeah,
You've got Tokyo Jungle. You get to be a doggy, and
a good jungle could be a lot of things.
There's a,
yeah.
be a lot of
dog
things.
companion
There's a
in
cat
Fallout 3, dog meat. So
True.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, best dogs in video games. That's a good.
Yeah,
that's
best
good.
dogs.
Yeah, and then every dog in Red Dead 2 that you get to pet for like You know, you can sit there and pet them for an hour. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Listen to Arthur over and over. It's a good boy.
I sat there and smoked cigars and pet his dog.
A good boy.
It's a good boy.
Drank a little of that rye whiskey.
I like that almost as much as I like when Geralt's always like yelling at Roach. Those are some of my favorite things too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some stuff that we're playing. I want to talk about 2 more recently released games first, and then it looks like 2 that released a little bit ago have been completed as well. And then if there's time, got a couple smaller games and demos that I just wanted to mention real quick, but there might not be time. That's fine. Anybody playing Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes? Like I put a couple hours into the demo, and I shared my thoughts already. But anyone playing the full game?
Yeah, I'm playing it. Yeah. I was really surprised how much Fire Emblem Three Kingdoms or 3 whatever it was. 3 houses this is, because it is just that. Like you go back to your hometown or your castle or whatever, and you cook and chat with your buds, and that increases their mood. And there's all those mechanics made it over, every single one of them. Even if you, and this is actually a harder game. Like I actually had a character die and I reload. I've never had a character die in any Dynasty Warriors, maybe ever, not one time. And like very first, couple levels, like where they kind of take the training wheels off, had a character die, and they're dead, just like a Fire Emblem.
Because Fire Emblem kills.
So I reloaded that bad boy back and had to do that whole level all over again, which again I did in Fire Emblem quite a bit. So it's like there's a lot of things that just feel like Fire Emblem, but it has that like Muso, combat to it.
Can you change that setting for permanent death on this one? Like you can.
Okay. Yeah, you can put it on easy or not classic, whatever the not classic mode is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm really enjoying it. I think I don't really, these Muso games that adopt themselves from like other properties, it's like they go out of their way to make sure that their story doesn't make sense. Like when I'm playing like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Warriors or whatever, it's like, so I'm a time traveler. Like they took the hardest possible way to tell this story. You could just tell the same story. You don't have to like be cute with it or anything like that. And I feel like this does that a little bit. Like the character moments make sense. Like, we're sharing this moment together. I understand what your goals are and how that reflects and everything like that. But when things start unfolding, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So so that's still kind of an issue and stuff like that, but I feel like the character moments are still like very much intact, and it's driving me through to like get back to the home base and be like, oh yeah, I gotta go talk to everybody now, and I got to train people, and I got to make sure everybody's kind of, in the same leveling. And maybe I took a certain group into the battle, so a lot of people aren't like the same level. So I got to get those guys in training and boost them up. I got to change their classes and all that stuff. There's a lot going on in this game, more than any Muso game ever, I think.
Because Fire Emblem games are very complex. So
yeah. And this, like, again, it feels as dense. The only thing that's different is it's not strategy. It's just Muso combat. So
yeah,
I'm really enjoying. I've always enjoyed these games. I think I've played and beaten like literally every single one except for like some of the One Piece and Dragon Quest like spinoffs or whatever. I don't care about that. But like all the main Stray ones and all
the first Fire Emblem Warriors one too.
Yeah, beat that one. That one's good.
Was that one anywhere near as intensive on the side?
No, that was just a Muso game. Yeah, it was just a Muso game, but instead of choosing Lu Bu, you were choosing Marth. I gotcha. This is very much, this and like Persona and Hyrule Warriors, the second one. We're in this new era of Muso games, like adopting the mechanics of the game properties that they're going after. So Persona had like a lot of dialogue and a lot of like stuff that you're doing in between, like had a lot of Persona elements, lighter, but like they were there. So I really enjoy that. I think that, you're just not playing another painted like game with a paint, coat on it. Like every game is mechanically different in many ways outside of the combat. So. And even the combat in this, like, it's so complex now. Like, there's so many like super modes to go into that, like, I forget half the buttons. Like, I'll have to, like, at the start of every session be like, okay, so how do you do your special, and how do you do your Muso special, and how do you do your Warriors Muso Ultra special? Like, there's just there's so many different like modes to jump into. In terms of like powering up your character and stuff like that.
I know in the demo I activated some kind of super special that's hard to build up a couple of times, like when I didn't need to. I was like, crap, I hit the wrong button.
Oops.
Certainly have those moments.
So yeah, there's every button does something in this game, and it's kind of crazy how much.
Also, I accidentally skipped past the here's how to break their defense or their stance or whatever.
Yeah.
To kind of make them vulnerable for attack, and I didn't totally understand what that mechanic was, and then I just started like really struggling against a couple of the
Yeah,
generals or
you run
bosses
down
throughout
the bar
game.
over their head and they break, and
Yeah.
you hit X and you'll juggle them.
Yeah. Basically,
Um,
in the end, just hit them a bunch. That's really
yeah,
all.
keep
Just
on hitting them. And if one button doesn't feel like it's doing it, press the other button. So that's my advice for that one.
That should be the tutorial.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like a novel tutorial, like with several screens. And
It
you're
is
like,
a
all
lot.
right, come
Yeah,
When you
on.
have
yeah.
the multi
Well,
pages, it's like.
And there's still like, if you're next to a hero, you can shift a button and press like team up, and then those two characters will bind themselves together, and then like those increase like the when you fight like that, it increases their social and stuff like that. So like again, all that stuff made it over. Like
Nice.
just like in Fire Emblem, if you fight directly next to each other, like in the same panes right next to each other, you know, like your social level goes up. So it's like they just lifted everything that they could and put it in this game, and
That's pretty cool.
Really enjoying it, man. I think it's super cool. And even though the story doesn't make a lot of sense, I know that like these kids are trying to kill each other. You know what I mean? Like that was the whole story of Fire Emblem. We were buddies, and then one day we woke up and we weren't. You know, and now we're going to war. And I think that is enough to keep on driving me through to the next event, especially just to see the next like character moment. So
yeah,
I'm loving it, man. I think it's awesome.
Sweet. All right. Neon White came out last week, and I generally ignored it until I started to see a couple reviews on it. Here's 3 reasons why I bought Neon White. Number 1 was just the general reviews that I saw on Metacritic and on Steam. I look at the Steam reviews too. They'll tell you like positive, mostly positive, very positive, overwhelmingly positive. So it kind of gives you a ranking. And then once it's mixed or below, I usually pass unless I know I really want to play it anyway. So this has overwhelmingly positive on Steam, 2,000 plus ratings that it's received on there in the last week. And it's got an 89 on Metacritic. The PC version does, and the Switch version has an 86. So I was like, all right, this game is clearly good. And I thought the video looked like it'd be fun. I remember looking at the trailer for it. I remember thinking this game looks like it'll be fun. It kind of looks like Ghost Runner, maybe a little bit of like Super Hot without the slowing down of time, where it's like fast levels, maybe even a little Mirror's Edge. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it kind of looked like fast first-person action. So I played about 45 minutes of it just before we recorded. I went over to CD Keys, and they have it discounted. In addition to the Steam discount, I got it for $16 on CD Keys. So already totally worth $16. It's very, very anime in its styling and its characters, but I think the voice acting is actually quite
terrible. You have my attention.
The voice acting is actually quite good and quite funny. Like there's already been several times. So the idea is that you are a demon who, for whatever reason, God has decided that you're awful, so you're not in heaven, but you're good enough that he needs your help to get rid of demons. And so his representatives are these really overly pious, kind of funny angels that are telling you like, you're all pretty horrible, but we need your help. And then they put these masks on you, which is why all the main characters in the background here have these masks on, that on the inside has an explosive device, very Suicide Squad style, that if you get out of line, they'll kill you. So you are now supposed to help clear heaven out of all these demons, and you have to increase your neon rank. So everyone who is a demon fighter is called a neon. You're neon white. The girl behind me with the red hair is neon red. You got neon violet, neon yellow. Neon, so like each character is a neon and then a color for their name. And so anyway, you go through. I mean, these levels are anywhere from like 20 to 30 seconds long, and then you can replay them real quickly. They're very fast. The idea is run through, pick up the items you need, and try to get a high score. And anything you get a gold or an ace on, you actually move up a rank. So you start at level 99 and you work your way up. The goal is to get up to level 1. So that's how it's working. I guess that's working down, whatever. But yeah, you rank up, and so your rank goes from 99. You're trying to get to 1, and that'll unlock new missions for you. So there's all the angels are these little anime cat characters, and they even talk about that, like, why are you a cat? This is really weird. Like they'll even address that, which I think is funny. But they won't let you access certain things until you get better scores on your level. So you can just go back and replay levels, kind of arcade style. Let me increase my score. Let me make this jump a little faster. Let me, kill these enemies quicker and get a better score. So that's the gameplay loop. It's very arcadey and fast, that first person style. And I thought when I saw cards, I thought, oh, great, a deck building game. Not that even a little bit. The cards are literally just the representation of the items you're using. Like they could have just made it be items. They didn't have to make it cards. They just did.
So, but like, so that was my issue, was like the cards, and I didn't think it was deck building, but I was like, okay, so this is like I'm using this card, which is like, say it has a gun on it, but then like, what is it?
So you just
like,
shoot.
Expire in like 10 seconds. Like,
so yeah, the card is like if you get a machine gun and you get that pretty early.
Yeah.
You'll see the card. It's like a purple colored card, and the color will start to fade from it as you use it. And then once that's done, it's over. They also each have a special ability. So like that machine gun, if you hit the right bumper, it'll shoot out this little purple bomb, and it'll just hit the nearest wall or enemy and explode. You can either take out a group of enemies, or you can launch yourself up higher into the air. It can even like propel you for a higher jump for certain things. Some of like the pistol, you can use that, and then when you use that second ability, that gives you a double jump. So most of them will have a second ability. Once you use that second ability, the card's discarded, and all you have left is your sword. And so yeah, I think it's pretty creative. It's pretty fast paced. I think that it's very stylish, and I'm surprised at how much I'm already liking the characters and just kind of the general story of what you're doing. Again, it's kind of like anime Suicide Squad in heaven/hell, you know.
And you're playing this on PC, not Switch, right?
On PC, yeah.
So yeah, I wonder how. I mean, I'm assuming it runs decent enough on Switch, like it would have to, right? Because it looks like it's really fast.
The textures are very simple, lots of white space. They don't try to make the water super detailed. It's much more about like just making it move quickly. So
yeah.
And then once you get to the character cutscenes, it's just comic book style, where it shows the character and it highlights the one who's talking. You know, so it's not a super intensive game in that way. It's only like 5 gig download on PC.
Oh,
it's not not a huge game. But yeah, I like it. And then you get, when you finish that first mission, you go to a city, and then you can kind of visit different characters, talk to them. You keep a diary of how your relationship's going with them. So you can give them gifts that you find as you replay levels. You can go back and discover hidden gifts in the levels, give them gifts, and then that'll eventually earn you these heavenly cards that you can go and trade in at the chapel for these heavenly experiences that you're too dirty of a sinner to experience. It's all very tongue-in-cheek humor about heaven versus hell. I really think it's very clever, the way they did it. So I did not expect to like this. I just pulled the trigger and thought maybe I'm wasting $16, but I was already a little annoyed to turn it off to start recording. To be honest, I really want to keep playing. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry to.
Yeah, you guys have done the same thing too, right? Haven't you done it before? We were like in a game, like, oh yeah, we got to talk about games for a little bit. But yeah, so I'm digging it. I'm digging Neon White. I recommend it if that appeals to you at all. So, A Plague Tale: Innocence has just been completed finally after 3 years. Derek, what are your thoughts?
Do you really want them? Do you really want them?
Just give it three words or less.
No, you're not getting 3 words or less. I don't know.
Okay, 1 word or less.
I don't think you can restrain Derek with 1 word.
Well, I didn't hate it, but it's not. I don't know. It's the gameplay sucks, and the story took a nice. Your opinions are not valid.
Just please keep going. For the love of God, just keep
push
going.
Push through it.
Push through.
My thinking is that it's like I like towards the end. I'm not gonna spoil it for people that haven't played it, but I like towards the end the gameplay was significantly changed, which it desperately needed because I found it to be obnoxious. And so when that change came, it made the game a little bit more fun. And then, like I said, stories, character, or the story and characters, decent. I wouldn't say amazing. It gives me hope that the new one will be good, but I don't think it's as great as everybody said
You're
it
wrong.
was.
Can we move on?
Can I ask you though? So obviously Jeff and I loved it way more than you did, but let me ask you, do you think because you split it up over such a long period of time, how could you enjoy a story and characters when you haven't seen them for months and months, and then you play one chapter and then months and months, and then you play a chapter? Like, that's no way
you just
it,
can't.
right?
That's like trying to play a JRPG.
That's the game's fault.
You know?
So if I did that with the Quarry, I would probably think the Quarry is boring and the characters are dumb. If I waited 2 more months and come back into a chapter.
It sounds like you're trying to passive aggressively tell me I'm wrong in my opinion.
I'm asking you if you think it made a difference.
I'll be aggressive about it if you
I'm
prefer
asking
the alternative.
Made it different. All right.
No, because I know that
I'm very
I know
glad that
the
all
story.
5 of us are here right now.
Okay.
It's
So
Yes, I would agree with you if like I was going into it and going, I'm lost. What am I doing again? Oh, who are you? But I knew who everybody was. Even the last half of the game I beat is where you significantly see certain characters more that weren't there in the beginning.
Yep.
So even the ones that were there when I took my little break, or breaks, I should say, because I really did just use the game to unlock an achievement every time you beat a chapter so I could get Xbox rewards. So anyways, my point is that I don't think it really impacted my view. I don't think my view of the game would have changed. Maybe somebody else.
Yeah.
But for me, at no point was the story getting better until playing it now tonight, and I was like, okay, I'm still really annoyed with things. There's certain things that really annoyed me, but I don't hate this game. And that's when I started thinking about it. I was like, what score would you give it? I was like, 7. I think it's a 7.
I think that's kind of, it got some of those types of scores from some outlets too. That's not too far off from what some people gave it. I personally liked it more than that, but I hear what you're saying.
But I think it's also expectations. So I played it when it first came out, and it was getting good reviews and stuff like that. But I think the people that were giving it really good reviews had zero expectations. It's just like when I play like a game like Greedfall or something like that. I had no expectations, and then it was amazing to me.
Yeah, I didn't
and
beat
even a lot of
Game
reviewers.
of the year. I didn't beat it until after the Game of the Year discussion. So
it
was built up for me, and I still loved it. I don't know. Different strokes.
I don't mean this as an insult because I normally insult Jeff, but like that's his style of game. That's not my style of game.
That's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
It takes a lot for Derek to resonate with like characters because he tends to. I think you do tend to lean more like gameplay than anything else, right? Like you're gonna lean more gameplay like than story.
I've been gaming for 30 years, and all I cared about like the first. Well, besides when I was going through my sports phase, but when I started getting into single player games, all I cared about was story. I was like, oh, it's all about the twist. I'm all about like the characters. And then I got sick of it. I was like, I've seen it all. It doesn't do anything for me. Now I just want to enjoy games for what they are. And I get looped into gameplay. This game doesn't have, for me, a loop that I care about at all. It's not supposed to be a loop, but it doesn't have anything that I care about until, and I'm not going to spoil it, a certain something happens in the story.
The big orgy
changes.
Yes.
Which that actually
a hero-gasm.
I was right there, Kyle.
That made me like the game more because I was like, okay, you just made a very, very positive change when I didn't expect it, or most games wouldn't even do that.
So I think that I consider that the loop because it felt like incrementally each chapter, because I think the game is split up in chapters, right? It's like chapter 1, this, chapter 2, that.
7.
I think
16
each chapter
chapters
you
and an epilogue.
unlock, right? So every couple chapters you unlock something new with your slingshot, and that was like enough of a quote unquote loop for me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, different strokes. It's just we prefer different.
My expectations when I went to play this game, I think it was 2019 when it came out. Does that sound right?
I thought it was like 2020.
I really do think I've been playing it for 3 years.
I think it was 2019. But anyway,
good Lord.
My expectations when I went into playing it were I thought I was getting a Telltale style game. So when they started doing a little bit of stealth, and then they were like, hey, you can actually use your slingshot. Hey, you can actually use the environment to kill enemies. I was just thinking of this as a puzzle stealth horror adventure game. I was never thinking the same way I approached The Quarry. I was thinking, hey, this is a mystery adventure narrative game. That's all this is. So if I had expected to actually have fun with the gunplay, I would have been mad at that game. That would have been awful. But that's not a game that's meant for that.
It's definitely it's not its strong suit.
So when the Plague Tale Innocence started introducing what I thought were like, oh, that's a surprisingly intricate gameplay mechanic I wasn't expecting in this game. If you were already expecting Horizon or anything close to that style of like little RPG improvements when you go to the crafting table, I mean the improvements are incremental at best. Like it's very
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
So I think objectively speaking, you're not wrong, Derek, in saying that, hey, it's gameplay wise, it's not up to snuff. You're right, but I guess you're right about expectations too. My expectations were not to get any of that, and I got some. So I think that's why I was excited about
Tim
it.
and I have been doing this show long enough that I know this is like when I'm playing this, I'm like, this is a Tim game. So he's just like when you were playing it, would you really be like, that's a Derek game?
I think even in our game of the year chat that year,
exactly.
I think I remember saying like, I don't even think you would like this game. I feel like I remember saying something like that to you. Like,
So the fact that I got through it and I'm still giving it a 7 means that it does a pretty good job.
I'll take it.
Yes, but still,
I'll take it.
Very generous.
Background.
So generous.
All right. So, and we also did find out that a Plague Tale Requiem, good timing on finishing this one. Gives you a couple months of not playing that style of game. And then, what's that noise? Is someone moving? What's happening?
Dude, I feel like the Ghost of Christmas Past has been this whole episode. Like I don't know what's going on.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. All right. So, Anno Mutationem has been completed by somebody.
It has.
Was that you, Dan?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've already talked about this game ad nauseum.
By the way, before you continue, it's a good time to buy it on Switch. I bought it for like $17.
There you go.
Just gonna throw that out there.
17.
It's on sale on
like
Steam too.
$18.
I think it's on sale on
Steam and Switch. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I mean,
what is this?
Anno Mutationem.
Yeah, it's like an action RPG, cyberpunk, like indie pixel game. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid indie game. And obviously for me, like I care story the most. By the time you get to the end of it, there's a lot of moving parts. It doesn't all quite connect super smooth. So there are kind of moments when they're happening. You're like, well, so who is this guy and what's the deal with this and what's the connection? Like, so as you're getting further, it gets kind of convoluted and you're like, all right, well, I don't totally get what's going on here, but the vibes are cool. It's a very cool game. The gameplay is pretty good, except like I said before, like the sort of roll dodge, I think needed a little tweaking. But overall, I think it is really fun. And what's it on sale for, Jeff? Was it like 18, 17? You said?
Yeah, I got it for 18 on Steam.
I think it's absolutely worth that if you want to give it a shot.
Just play the demo. The demo is a good hour, I think, of the game, and I think it's a good intro to the combat and the world and how
very
it looks
cool
when you're
cyberpunk vibes,
side scrolling and stuff.
Yeah, very cool cyberpunk vibes. I just think if you're looking for like a really like well made, well connected story, I mean, I don't know if that's just something that cyberpunk, the genre or the themes of cyberpunk is, if that's a common thing, because I'm just not as in the know with cyberpunk type of stuff. I know Kyle, you really love cyberpunk related things, like that kind of genre and that aesthetic.
Yeah, you'd be into this one.
Yeah, but I think overall it is really good. I just think when I got to the end of the story, there were moments I was kind of like, wait, so why is this guy going insane? And what's like things just aren't quite connected.
Oh, they kind of allude to it at the beginning, right? Where they talk about there's something installed in people's brains or something that can potentially make them go crazy, kind of like in Cyberpunk, how people would get
cyberpsychosis.
I don't even remember that. I mean, all I know is the main character Anne has something called antagonitis, which plays into like this whole like overarching thing involving the world and end of the world shit. So there's a whole thing with that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really cool elements, really cool like characters. There's this one particular guy that's like a boss that you fight a couple of times. He's super cool and pretty tough. Yeah, there's a lot to like here. But I would say this would be like a 7.5, like maybe 8 kind of game.
Okay.
7.5. All right.
Depending on the moments.
Swimming.
Yep.
All right. A couple games that I got on sale that I wanted to highlight. The first one's been on my wish list for a while, but it always seemed overpriced for the kind of game it was. It's called Project Zomboid. And
Zomboid.
So think like
sorry.
Isometric Sims style view. But it's kind of like a State of Decay style thing where it just starts you in a zombie world and you have to just start exploring and finding stuff and building up your shelter and collecting supplies and not dying because you die real fast in this game. The controls are fine. It's not going to be for everybody. The idea of like you collect these weapons and then you have to use right click to kind of aim. It's a PC game. You right click to kind of aim the direction. So 360 degrees, you can kind of circle around real quick to aim what direction you want to swing or shoot or whatever. And then left click to hit it, but it's again that isometric third person type of a view, so it's not super exact. For the most part, you knock zombies down, and then you have to aim at their head and hit them on the head with whatever item you've got. So anyway, you can essentially explore. You can set up a custom sandbox, by the way, and you can make it super aggressive survivor mode. You can make it very peaceful. I just want to build up my whatever, my base type of a mode. Like, there's a lot of ways you can approach it. Right now, it's I think $14, which still might be steep for some people for a game like this, but I like it. I think it's a pretty creative little game. You can create your character to look all kinds of wacky and silly and name them whatever you want, and then they die and you get another character and keep going. That's why it reminds me of State of Decay, because like characters
that's like that
kind of cycle through. So I like it. I do recommend it if you like zombie apocalypse kind of survival type stuff. Not the best actual action gameplay though, just to be really clear. Okay. Vigil, The Longest Night is a side-scrolling kind of Souls-like in terms of the gameplay in a way, although they don't really have souls that you lose when you die. You just go back to your last save point. So it's a little more Metroidvania maybe, although I have not yet come across areas that's like, you can't go here yet. So I don't know if Metroidvania is even the right description. It's a action RPG side-scrolling platformer. It is pretty difficult. Elements of it are certainly inspired by Souls, like the boss fights and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have the same. The idea is that you can find these items that you can use as portable save points, if right before a boss fight, for example, and just reload every time you die at that spot. Or you go to these owl statues and it'll reload you at the last owl statue. But yeah, the visuals look kind of like Darkest Dungeon. Remember those kind of paper cutout characters where they it look very very cool, very detailed, but they also move very stiff, like a paper, like a storybook. So a little bit like that in the characters. I think Tales of Iron kind of had similar look and feel if you played that one with the rats. But it's cool. You pick sword or these dual wielding blades or a big giant heavy weapon or a bow, and then you can level that up as you go. And you can there's lots of loot to find, lots of stuff to upgrade, a blacksmith to visit to upgrade your weapons, build more stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, I think it looks really good, and I think it's cool. I think it's also around the $13 range on sale right now. So Vigil, The Longest Night, pretty solid little side-scrolling action game. All right, we're gonna move into headlines before we circle.
I actually had to get a game.
I got stuff.
I was gonna say, is there anything else that we missed that I don't have on the list here? Because I don't have anything else on.
No, I'm too offended to do it. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
Can I mute you?
Please, yeah. I was just gonna say mine's really quick. I really thought I stumbled upon some great ARPG with Grim Dawn or whatever, and it is great. Apparently, the whole world knows it's great. So I didn't find this.
Grim Dawn?
This is not me finding a diamond in the rough. If you look up any top 10 greatest ARPG of all time list or whatever, this is like in the top 3 or whatever. I'm showing up late to this game. Sorry, whatever. Apparently, you guys haven't heard of it either. So
apologize more.
Actually, what I was going to say about this
I've
one,
heard of
Kyle,
it.
I wasn't sure if you played it yet because I know you mentioned it in chat. I actually bought this game during one of the Steam sales a while back, and I've never played it. It's just one of those many that I've purchased on Steam.
Double back to it and play it with a controller. I think it feels really good with a controller, which is kind of, for these types of games, like usually kind of like that point and click, style, like people would favor more. But boy, I started it with the mouse and the keyboard, and I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. And I played with the controller, and I was like, oh, this feels like an action game now. This feels really good.
Nice.
Or it feels like Diablo 3 on consoles, I think it's awesome. I think it's really grimy and like it's as gross and grimy as like Diablo, if not even more so. Like it's very just dark vibes and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not far into it, maybe an hour or a couple hours, but just I can see it, like how the trees are the skill trees are folding out. I can see how much customization goes into it. I can see like the economy system, like it exposes you to a lot in that first hour, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a real good game if you're looking for a Diablo 3 style experience. So,
classes and stuff to pick from.
Oh yeah, many. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at the Steam page for it. They just put out a new update for it. I mean, it seems like they're up there supporting this game, the devs are, which is cool.
And there's new DLC / expansions like all the time. Pretty girthy, big pieces of content,
Girthy, that's a good word.
Girthy, slice.
Yeah,
girthy, chunky slice.
Grim
So
Dawn,
yeah, that's it's worth checking out, I'd say, especially for like $4 or whatever it is right now. It's like insane.
I think that's why I bought it on a Steam sale. It might have been right when I first bought my PC, a couple summers ago, and I was same as you, Kyle. Like the Steam sale hits, I'm like, I'm buying anything under $5. That's
it.
sure.
Right.
And so this was certainly one of those cheap ones that I bought and never tried. Never tried this one. So I will have to do that. All right, good rec. Anything else you guys are playing?
I don't really have much new to add other than Shredder's Revenge is definitely one of my favorites of the year. I haven't beaten it yet, but it's awesome.
I have
beaten
it and I played it co-op and it was awesome. It was a great time.
Finished it earlier today.
Feels good.
Isn't it super short?
It is.
It's like 2 hours.
An arcade game.
It's like 2 hours long. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can play the whole thing through pretty quick, especially if you do easier mode.
Yeah.
Really fun couch co-op with friends or kids. Like I thought it was a lot of fun.
It feels great once you like get the hang of the combat and how to counter.
It does feel
like
good,
not counter, but like I don't know. I feel like I'm getting better.
There are some mechanics
I do
there to learn.
Raphael.
Yeah, there are definitely some mechanics there to learn.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting better at juggling those and doing the different things because it's more it's a little more involved than just just tapping A or X or whatever.
Did you guys try Casey after unlocking him?
I did. Yeah,
Not yet,
immediately. No. Yeah,
he's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I like his character.
I like that like there are some moments like where you're playing a level and like the level will start and like out of nowhere an actual rap artist will start rapping about Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
and it's like it's my favorite thing every time it happens. I think it's so awesome.
I was not feeling that, if I'm going to be honest, but it's fine. It's
because you're racist. Because you're racist. That's fine.
Well, hold on. Why does that make me racist, Jeff? Why does that make me?
Because you just are in your heart.
Dude, I agree though. Shredder's Revenge is it's one of the just pure fun games of the year. Like it's just, man, I said this earlier and I mean it. Like when a game succeeds at what it's trying to do, it deserves all the credit in the world. And this game was same with stuff like we talked about in the spoiler cast with the Quarry. This is what it's trying to do, and for the most part, it achieves it. And same with Shredder's Revenge, even more so.
Exactly.
I think it sets out to do like perfectly, like what it was aiming for.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
Obviously, it's nostalgia bait, but it's on top of that they added so much more mechanics and
well, and just like it opening up in the original TMNT like cartoon, like like they knew what they were doing. You know what I mean?
I gotta be honest. I was like, I want to go binge through that show again. Like, why? Why would I?
Why would I do that?
But
I want to buy their what is it? I had like a toy set that was like their sewer train station. I want to buy that again. Why? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
So I actually never owned those toys, but I always wanted them. I feel like my cousins and friends always had them.
It was so hard to find. It was like Power Rangers, dude. Like I was obsessed with Power Rangers back in the day, and I never had one of these. And now I'm a grown ass adult with freaking Megazords.
You never had a Zord? My parents had to every day. I was a GI Joe around Christmas time. Every day they checked for Zord.
Can I sound like a really dumb, like whiny nerd kid for a second? So my mom eventually did buy me one. It was actually from the movie, which looking back on it, it's like that's not what I wanted.
Ugly Megazord. That's such an ugly Megazord.
Yes, but I was so appreciative that she finally bought me one. But the freaking frog, which is the waist part, the leg was broken.
Yeah.
So I went to go return it back to the store. And back then, dude, it was like
classic
people were fighting each other to get Power Ranger toys. So like, I couldn't exchange it. I had to return it.
Yeah.
So.
One other quick note. I know that Derek, you're playing Knights of the Old Republic. It sounds like there's potentially a game-breaking bug in the second game of the Switch version that doesn't let you finish the game. But I think the reason it was a news article is that they've acknowledged it and they're working on a fix for it. So
I see.
Maybe just watch for the fix for that before you dive into part 2 of Knights of the Old Republic.
Well, I'm definitely taking a break after I finish Coder.
The first one.
And then I'll go. Yeah, and then I'll go to the second one later.
Might be fixed,
but
then.
The only thing I would add on, and I'll make it real quick because I know you want to move on to the next.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
I did finish Call of Duty Vanguard. I bought that at launch like an idiot. I don't know why I did.
Same here.
Like the only person. Overall, like, you know, I made a joke post about, well, I was actually being honest, but it's still a joke. But it is a very woke campaign. I know people have a problem with that. I don't really care. It's woke. It's not accurate at all, and that's fine if you want to live in a fantasy world, but at least tell like a decent story. It wasn't. It just felt forced. It was not good at all. And so now I can kind of see why like the rumors of them finally trying to like maybe change up their campaign, because I feel like it's not a terrible campaign. Like if you play it, you'll just be like, it's Call of Duty. but it's not good, and it's redundant, and it just feels like blah. And so the whole time I was playing, I was like, the only reason I'm playing this is because I spent money on this day one like an idiot. And the second reason is because I was in the mood for a shooter. And that you can't deny. Call of Duty does shooting mechanics. It's not better than everybody else. Almost as good as everybody else. So it's a really good shooter. It has some cool action, but story-wise and characters, I just thought it was pretty.
It's a bummer coming off of Modern Warfare and then the Black Ops reboot.
Yeah, I think it's because Vanguard was developed by a bunch of other companies along with Sledgehammer. It was like a bunch of other companies. They might have even outsourced most of the work. I don't know, but yeah, I was not impressed by that campaign when I played it.
Hollywood talent. They had a lot of Hollywood talent, which they always do. So
they hired Kevin Spacey.
He's back.
Whoops.
But I just thought overall,
and he plays a pedophile Nazi.
No, he's the hero this time.
He's the hero.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a letdown. I mean, as soon as I beat it, I just uninstalled it. I will never play that game again. But I am excited for Modern Warfare 2 because I am getting that like itch for a good first person shooter. So hopefully that will be good. But I really, really, really hope the next Call of Duty will have something new with their campaign. Like, give me an RPG / first person shooter.
Like Halo Infinite approach.
Whatever happened to that rumored open world game that they were talking about doing for like Call of Duty open world? What's like that's been rumored forever. Yeah,
they could still be working on it because it's taking a while. I mean, although we're saying that and it does sound interesting, but I have a feeling like the main Call of Duty audience would just be like, oh no, you're just trying to inflate the game and blah blah. It's like
sure.
Well, here's the thing,
whatever
man.
That rumor was just Warzone. Is that what it became?
No. This was like way before. I mean, this is like a 10-year-old rumor. It feels like
that's
at this
what
point.
I was just wondering if it turned into Warzone.
No, and it may have. Obviously, I don't know.
Trying to make it.
I don't know those. I think Warzone is obviously just a response to just battle royale being, a big thing.
It's successful, man. Like they make a lot of money from that.
Yeah, and maybe elements of that because like in Warzone there are like missions that you go on. Like you can like, oh, there's a thing over here. Let me go do that real quick. So like maybe there's some elements that made it over, but like, boy, they were always talking about like a story focus because like Bad Company 1 and 2 were almost open. They were like open area, like levels,
and they had a cool
so
cast of characters.
They did, yeah. So I felt like those rumors started coming out after like Bad Company came out. Like they're like Call of Duty's like, well, we could do something like that and like make it bigger, and it just never kind of happened. But like I would love a giant, really focused modern or Call of Duty like campaign. I think that'd be cool, but like I obviously know that there are ways to really screw that up and make it stupid too, so
sure.
Maybe
to me with Call of Duty you're selling to two different audiences. You already have your hardcore audience that only cares about online multiplayer, and they did lose a lot with Vanguard, but I really do think a lot of that is just people are Warzone. You can't sit here and do modern warfare type games and then go back to old crap and people be like, when Battlefield just did it. Like you lose that excitement. But
isn't it also the Warzone? Like a lot of those multiplayer people have shifted to Warzone and they're there. They don't
Warzone is crazy pop.
Definitely believe Warzone actually is like a good thing, but it's also cursing Call of Duty as well because they're not losing players. They still have a lot of players playing modern or the open world battle royale stuff, but they're losing players on Vanguard. So that's why I'm curious what Modern Warfare 2 will be. Will it successfully be able to do both? Like draw the attention of those people.
And Modern Warfare is the big like multiplayer player, so I can actually see like the Modern Warfare multiplayer and Warzone both being really successful at the same time, but I think that would only work in a Modern Warfare game because I think that like, the multiplayer in that game is so beloved.
And I don't know if honestly if Activision really knows that, but you really do have two audiences. We are the smaller audience, I will say that. But you really do have a second audience that's like, dude, I'll buy your game day one for your campaign. I'll buy it. Can you just please do a good job with it? And so I think if they would go, you know what? We're going to have 2 teams. We're going to have one team that just strictly makes top tier multiplayer, has all the systems levels and everything. And then we're going to have a second team that works on a campaign for 2 or 3 years. And we're going to create this open area / open world action RPG first person shooter. You can do it. You can do it. So I think that's what I'm saying I want.
Yeah. The last game I wanted to mention, I played the beginnings of Dragon's Dogma, and I've never played it before.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh my gosh. Very
It's
good.
good.
Right off the bat, it's good. I'm like,
It's cheesy, but it's good, right?
Man.
It's not like obviously the visual animations, like the cinematic animations or whatever, are rough because it's a 10-year-old game, but the combat still holds up big.
But like even just like that intro song is just so like it's trying to be like rock and roll, but it's like but it's like Japanese and it's a little poppy also. Like it's just it's a unique game. It's a unique game.
I went and played it again, and here's what you should do if you want to make the game a little bit easier. All you have to do is go into where you get your pawns or whatever, and just friend request people that are extremely high level. They'll add you on Steam. And then you go in there and you get them for free.
Yeah, so you use friend pawns for free, and if they're like if you're using a level 100 pawn, you can just have them power level you through that whole game. You know?
Yeah,
I have 2 pawns right now. One's a level 83, and the other one is just an infinite number. I don't know what that means. It's just an infinite, which means it's extremely OP.
That's cool.
So
and
I'm
playing it on
free
Steam right now
because,
too.
like I
So
said,
if you guys see my
request
pawns
them.
on there, y'all scoop my pawns up because I'm playing it on there as well. I started a whole new game.
That's a really cool.
Put like 3 or 4 hours
game.
in that game already.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's all I got for games.
All right, let's cover a few headlines and then we'll wrap things up if you guys are up for it. I want to talk. We don't have to go super deep dive spoiler chat, but I want to get your thoughts on the finish of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So you can do some spoiler chat on that if you guys are interested in that. But before we do that,
is it because of Obi-Wan?
Take on that.
Before we do that, we'll talk about some headlines. So don't go into it yet. Don't go there yet. All right.
Why is it because of Obi-Wan?
Because of Obi-Wan? Like the meme?
God damn it. God damn it.
It's yeah. All right. Anakin. Oh boy. So
Liar.
No Man's Sky has been slated to come to the Switch for a long time. I don't know how it's going to perform or look on that game because I got to tell you, I was playing it. My son fired it up on the Xbox One X, which is not a weak system, especially compared to the Switch by any stretch. And it didn't run super smoothly. Like it was pretty choppy. It was loading things in really late. I was like, man, you really need to play this on the new consoles or on PC to really get the No Man's Sky experience as it is now. I understand it was a disappointment for a lot of people 6 years ago, myself included in some ways. It's a much better game now. It's way prettier and it's much more demanding. So I don't know how this is going to run on Switch when it does release, but that release date is now October 7th. They kept bumping it. It was most recently it was summer of 2022, and now they're saying it's officially October 7th, and the physical version of the PS5 will also arrive on that day. So I still think the best place to play that's going to be one of your new consoles or a PC. That's the place. If you like that kind of game, that's where to play that. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and a more positive note for the Switch, they had a direct that aired this week, and I didn't watch the entire thing. I only saw the first 5-10 minutes maybe or so, and then I had to get back to normal work stuff. But I did watch some of it, and I thought the setting looked really cool. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but the idea being that everyone in these 2 lands, there's these warring lands that are just in constant conflict, and the people who are born into this land essentially have 10 years to live to essentially just do battle. And if you live your full 10 years, then the queen honors you and essentially kills you into this bright sparkling dust of whatever that flies up into the air. So it seems like not a great way to live. And then, of course, the game setup, the story setup is that something happens. I don't know exactly what, but you meet this mysterious person, and now your party in the game is made up of a couple people from this side and a couple people from that side who now realize, hey, we have to figure out what's really going on in this world that's only letting us live for 10 years. And they talk a lot about, I only have a few months left on my lifespan. And the storyline looks pretty interesting, pretty unique. And the Xenoblade games have always done that. They always have had a very interesting storyline. The first one and second one, very different from each other, although similar in a lot of ways. This one looks to continue that trend. And I think it looks really cool. It might not be the most graphically impressive thing I've ever seen, but it looks like it'll be a lot of fun to play. So, did you guys watch it?
I love those games.
Yeah.
I only watched a little bit because I'm already sold on the game, so I didn't really want to see too much. I've already pre-ordered it, but okay.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
I'm excited for it, but I don't know any details.
You know what it is, like you don't know. I was looking for some quality of life like upgrades and stuff like that, just because like those games are navigating them. I think Tim and I were musing on this. Navigating in those games is like it's preposterous sometimes. Like it's
terrible.
How do I get to the waypoint's right there? I don't know how to like. Okay, so I portal into another area. Yeah. Nope, it says I need to go back this way. Like,
the mini map is bad too. The mini map's
so
horrible.
bad. Yeah. Now you can just press a button and a GPS line comes onto your screen.
To be honest, that is actually why I didn't beat the first two. I got to the very end of the first one, and I got probably 3/4 through the second one, and I kept getting lost. And I've restarted the second one, not restarted the game, but like went back to it, the second one, multiple times. I'm like, I don't know where.
Yeah, the second one is a big offender. This one, the definitive edition of the first game.
I don't know.
They did a better job of like making it a little more obvious of where you're supposed to go. But even still, I got lost. But like in 2, I was just like, what were you guys doing? Like I have no idea. There's too many levels and layers of the maps, and I never know where the waypoint. It was too obtuse,
Yeah. Did they address that in the direct?
Yeah. So now you press a button and like a line to your destination on like right in front of your character like appears. Yep. So you just press a button like a quest for site,
like a video game is supposed to do.
Like almost all of it. Like you jump in a car, you go to a mission. There's like on the mini map, there's like a way to go. But
the Mafia remake gave us the best example of it already. Just do that, people. Come on.
Except for Elden Ring, which doesn't tell you
the turn signals on the streets. It's so great.
Unless it's Elden Ring, where they don't tell you anything, and you just have to figure it out.
Right. So it's that I needed because like these games,
that's awesome.
These games are like 100 hours. Like there's no time to like be like caught up on superficial exactly of where to go next and stuff like that. And I feel like that's I'm gonna beat this game. Like I'm pretty excited for that.
Yep,
and these games are
Who's cool, man. Planning on getting this game day one?
Me, 100%. I've got every single one of them day one at this point. So
I feel ashamed as obviously the person who likes anime and JRPGs. I never finished the first one. I just I don't remember what ended up distracting me. I know I definitely
am just like Kyle and Derek. I haven't finished the first or second ones, but I've played them both for probably 40 hours plus.
Right.
And a combination of if you step away for too long and come back, you're going to be very confused. But even while you're playing, it's like, what am I doing next? They didn't do a good job of guiding the player through a very complex game, and that's just
and there's a lot of mechanics and stuff like that. And like I don't mind jumping around in this series. It's like Final Fantasy, like they're separate. None of it connects. It's all separate stories. Separate.
See,
worlds,
I thought there was a connection with all three of these. Is
like
that
the
not
sword?
The
there's elements.
Yeah, maybe
like
there's a
Final
spiritual
Fantasy.
connection, but like Final Fantasy. But
I thought the world was like actually the same, but it's like years apart or something. No, okay. I thought it was, but
could be. I don't think so though.
I don't.
Well, you're on.
Well, those the big
Titans,
giants.
That's only in the first game. Like like that doesn't exist in the second game at all.
Yeah.
So maybe some lore bits and stuff like that, but like they are not connected at all.
Was like Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think X was on Titans. I don't remember.
Yeah.
that's
that's the all mech one.
No,
I'm
I'm saying
that's a sequel to the first one.
Yeah, I'm saying I think it was on like the Titans or something like that. I don't remember. That was the only one I didn't play much.
See, Chronicles I thought was completely almost like where like their spiritual successors with like these games, like that one X like was completely different because it was all mechs and like sci-fi and stuff like that. Like it was.
So this whole time I've been thinking I need to like start back at the original.
No, that's why I want to bring it because every time we bring this game up, you're like,
just
I need
jump
to beat
into
one.
3.
I was like, you don't
interested.
know. Yeah, that's not what this series is. It's not a continuous story.
I mean, I still want to do that because it was a great
one's
game.
Considered one of the greatest RPGs of all time.
It's one of the greatest RPGs of all time, so it's worth playing. And because they've re-released it on the Switch, there's absolutely no reason not to.
Yeah,
it's a good version on the Switch.
But I wouldn't focus. I would, if you're excited about playing a new game in 2022, like I talked about earlier, we like buying games. There's nothing wrong with that. Buy the third one and play it. Have fun with it. That's what I'm doing. I'm not gonna let the first two hold me back.
The second one was one of my favorite games of a crowded 2017. It was a really, really good RPG.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's really
It's just
good.
I got lost.
I
a
got
lot.
distracted
Easy,
as
dude.
well. 2018.
There was also like what was it like? Not even it was like an expansion, not even so much just DLC, right? It's like
It's
It was a
the
Golden
huge, like
Corna or
20,
something.
like
Golden
20-hour story content. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it
Never
was a
played that.
big old beefy slice. So
beefy, girthy, chunky.
Which is what they're gonna do with this third one too. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
really
yeah.
support these games big time.
Yeah.
these guys, Monolith, right? Monolith.
They're
Soft?
insane. Yeah,
They're insane. Yeah,
They're
like
insane.
they're some of the best people out there, the unsung
Yep.
heroes of open world, like video games right now.
Well, speaking of Ubisoft, a little earlier, Far Cry 5 is being added to Game Pass on July 1st. So you can try that
Okay.
one out if you've skipped it for some reason. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is finally on Steam. It was only on Epic Store before, so you can play that on Steam now. And same thing with Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, which I think we talked about as well last week.
I bought
That's
that
also
on
on
Steam
Steam.
for my Steam Deck.
Yeah, same here. 50
Hey,
bucks.
Perfect.
$50. Good
Sweet.
purchase there.
Pardon.
Final Fantasy 16 details from multiple interviews from Yoshida. A couple of things here. Dan, did you read these?
I know some of them just like from kind of skimming through them. Like I saw the main thing was that because people were bitching about it was, oh, there's no party, and Yoshida's like, hold up, there are going to be companions, you guys need to chill out, we just didn't want to overwhelm you, which I mean, it's like, okay, I guess maybe.
It's funny, when I watched that trailer, the last thing I thought of was like, where's the companions? Like, there's so much going on in those trailers.
Dude.
Like,
Like,
any of those people on
I totally
screen
forgot
could
about
have
it,
been a
honestly. Yeah.
companion. Yeah, any
Well,
of those
that's-
people on screen could have been a companion.
I mean, that's the thing with Final Fantasy fans. It's like with any fan of some ongoing series, they get so pissy the second any sort of change.
Star
Yeah,
Wars.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that's
Final
just
Fantasy. Yeah, Final Fantasy fans can be pretty.
Yeah. So it's like
fanny.
with those fanboys, they get so crazy about it because to them it's like, well, there's always a party because you're communicating with your party and you're growing as characters together. So it's like I get that, but it also me personally, I think it would have been fine if it was just Clive going on his own journey and interacting with characters here and there. I would have been fine with that.
I would have been fine with that too.
Well, it sounds like for some of it will be that. He said that for most of his journey, Clive will be accompanied by one or more companions. They'll participate in battle, trade banter with Clive, but they're all AI driven. You're not switching around to control.
Right.
You control.
This still doesn't sound like it's a traditional Final
but
Fantasy like party
at
game.
least you're still getting the like dialogue while you're kind of going on your journey, which I think is great. So you add that in there, you're having that cool because I think 7 Remake actually did a really nice job with that when you're kind of walking in between certain places and they're just kind of there's
a lot of ambient talking for sure.
Yes, and it's done really well in that game, I think.
It is.
I agree.
It's almost like they
more organic in that one.
It felt more, honestly, it felt like some teams, and maybe they didn't play any Naughty Dog games, but it felt like the Final Fantasy VII team likes what Naughty Dog did with their character growth through talking while traveling. And they took elements of that. And I loved that. I want more games to do that. Like, it doesn't have to be just like Naughty Dog does, but the idea of you don't have to walk in silence. Like, let the characters grow a bit in all these in-between moments.
Absolutely.
I just want to say, I wasn't on the show when you guys talked about this, but I just want to say that Square did an amazing job with those announcements. The way they have 3 games lined up and the way they have it spaced out is what every gamer fantasizes about. So I don't want to hear anybody complaining about, I'm talking to you, Dan, Square ever again.
You talking to me?
Ever talking to you, Dan.
Wow. What am I bitching? What am I bitching about?
Yeah.
Hey,
do
me a favor.
Play Balan Wonderworld and you will like it. Okay.
Do me a favor. Go to the store. Go to the aisle where the bag of dicks are, and go ahead and eat a bag.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there's a whole bag of them. Oh.
Yeah.
The aisle.
I don't feel loved on the
I got spotted dicks, bag of dicks.
I was gonna say, with inflation going on right now, never mind. Skip the bag of dicks.
Costco has them. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. Big old
they did confirm there's not an open world in this, and I like that
Which is fine.
They're talking a lot about how exploration and giving you a sense of a large space to explore is still there, but they're not trying to create an open world for you to kind of pick a direction and go.
It sounds like remake. It sounds like a 7 Remake to me.
They want it to be more of an independent area game.
Well,
that gives
I
you a feel of a
I hope
wouldn't
it's
say 7
more
Remake.
open than
So Derek, you and I connecting here. This is going to be like on a bigger scale, obviously, but not quite open world, like Dragon Age Inquisition, right, Tim?
Could be.
Huh?
Could be
Yeah,
like
that's how it was described to me. That's what I thought of first. Was
I thought of God of War first, but either way, it may
okay.
Yeah, it kind of fits.
I think it's going to be
really
definitely
hope it's
whatever
at the
piece of crap game
level
you thought
of
first is also correct.
And 15, like that, everyone thought was 15 was open world. Kinda. I mean, like you are there's one direction that you go in that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's through an open world, but like you just can't choose any direction and walk and be like, yeah, I'm making progress. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can, but you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I get it. And specifically,
that's why I think it's actually a good decision, because I'm a big fan of 15. Loved it. I even liked the open world as far as like the freedom of how it looked and everything like that. But I feel like when you make things a little bit smaller while still making it open and big, you can add, not only make it more like a better looking game graphically, but you can add more details. You can have more things to explore, more focused. So I would prefer that, and that's why I think if they can pull off,
I want it to feel like I'm on a journey. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like a journey is ushering you through really detailed, specific areas and locales and stuff like that, instead of just being like, yeah, I went south and found myself in some boring forest and there was nothing for me to do, you know? I don't know. I'm with Dan and Derek on this. I think it's a better. This is good news, you know.
I think so too.
Final Fantasy is not Skyrim. We don't need to go. We don't need to just.
But that's the thing. Skyrim's excellent, so that's fine too. If they wanted to do that, that's fine. You just gotta actually fill the world with interesting things to do, and that
which is hard to do.
That can be tricky. Yeah, that can absolutely, and it takes longer to
But my point is you got to realize is these games are different. Like when somebody plays Final Fantasy, for the most part, I can't speak for everybody, they're playing it to experience the story. When somebody says, I'm going to go play a session of Skyrim, they're not like, I can't wait to tell you about the main storyline that I'm going to experience.
Well,
they're
maybe not
playing
the main
it to just
storyline, but I'm definitely I'm playing Skyrim for the stories, because it's all about the sub stories and the lore and everything like that. But I do get what you mean.
But my point, you're rewarded
you're not talking about
for
the main,
exploring.
like quest or whatever.
You're rewarded for exploring.
Exactly.
That's the type of
I'm
game
getting my story through like sub exploration and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's to me what Dragon's Dogma was. I'm not saying Dragon's Dogma is Skyrim as far as Skyrim does it better. I'm saying I just played the game to explore. I didn't play it for the story. When I play Final Fantasy, I'm playing for the story too. So I want to feel like I'm moving forward, not just aimlessly wandering around. I don't need that.
Yeah. When your hero, like I know this is like a problem with every RPG, but like in Final Fantasy, like you're always trying to stop the end of the world. It doesn't make a lot of sense for you to be like, well, so I'm gonna go and do Skyrim level of like side quests that are like their own sort, or Witcher 3, which like their side quests are like actually bigger and better than the real story, Not a lot of time for that, when in Final Fantasy, when you're like the king of your kingdom or whatever the story is, that's pushing you to like complete the next story objective. So yeah, I kind of like that pacing, or that like linearity of storytelling.
Linearity, great word, bro. Proud of you for that word.
I meant to say earlier too, with the Xenoblade Chronicles 3, you just made me think of this. It might end up being a world-saving story in the end, possibly, but it seems much more like it's a life-saving type of a thing. Like the idea is like your lives are short for some reason. There's some kind of control happening. So I just thought that was cool. I meant to highlight that earlier. That's a really interesting take on what the goal seems to be and what they've shown in the direct.
That was bold to use child soldiers. I thought that was bold. That was
Seriously.
Nothing jolly about this. Yeah.
So Tim, you didn't put it down here. I think, and not so much a detail that you guys would care much about. And I haven't gotten to Heavensward, the Heavensward expansion in 14, Final Fantasy 14 Online. But the main guy that wrote the story for that, which I guess most fans that do play that game think that it has the best story as far as the expansions go. He helped write the story for 16.
Oh, nice.
So I think that really kind of carries a lot of weight there.
Yeah, and I think that Final Fantasy 14 connection continues because they said the icon summons.
Icons. Yep.
They were the main source of inspiration was found from the primals that are in 14.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So I thought that was cool. Like they actually were like, that was the first thing that came to mind. Like that's kind of where we're inspired for these things. But also those big battles between them. It's not a kaiju fighting game. That's not what it is. Although there were moments where you saw like health bars and stuff. They're a very small percentage of what you'll be participating in, and in some cases you're not really directly participating. He's very vague on that, but I think was trying to let you know like it's mainly about Clive.
It's probably going to be about spectacle more than
spectacle, but also story moments where you're going to look up and see them battling while you're down here.
Dude,
so that's amazing.
That
I'm
sounds
on that part. That part
right like you're in the middle of a fight on the ground, like as Clive, and then it just pans up, and then you're kind of like making decisions as far as the moves. Yeah.
Very
that
very cool.
Sounds awesome, dude.
Very very cool. And then of course this wolf dog puppy that became somewhat popular from the first trailer, potentially a party member. He teased. So, or at least they said, "Is he a party member?" He said, "I don't know. We'll see." It was one of those.
But the story, the story is supposed to, because you didn't write this down. The story is supposed to take the place over between from I think when you see him as young Clive, he's in his 20s, and it spans up to the 30s. So I think it's like a 10 year span that the story's going to take place
jump,
over.
maybe.
Yeah. So
very cool. Yeah, I'm very excited.
The game is 10 years long to beat it.
This is 10 years.
I hope so. I hope so.
No, this really is a Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
The problem is you have to play it like Derek played a Plague Tale. You can only play one chapter.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a suggested way of playing.
So
we got a new announcement of a game from Sega called Hyenas, which is this multiplayer team robbery game. Comes out in 2023. I watched the trailer for it.
Payday or something.
Kind of, but it kind of looks like Deathloop style, like with the kind of the fun kind of aesthetic. It's a little, it's not super realistic.
Okay.
But the idea is that you plan heists and then pull them off together. So it's, I don't know, it doesn't really sound like something that I'm interested in, but that's, you know how Sega announced a little while back that they've got all these big online efforts that are in the works. I think this is one of them. I don't know if you guys remember that. They talked about how they have a bunch of online.
Yeah, they alluded to it like when they right before like a showcase or some kind.
Yeah, they have all these brand new ideas.
Is this the game that IGN was like talking about a lot?
That might have been where I got.
What's it called again?
Called Hyenas.
Yeah, that's the one IGN was like releasing like the news on it, like it was their exclusive story or whatever.
I mean, it looks the characters are wacky and silly and crazy and throwing grenades, like whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It just doesn't.
One of them's wearing a Nixon mask.
The core idea of it being an online co-op game where you're going against other online teams. I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to play this, but cool, good for you, Sega, for a new IP, I guess. Plague Tale Requiem. I did not watch this because I'm at the point now where I don't want to see anything else about this game. I just want to play it. So that's October 18th. So I'm not going to watch the video they put out. They did show some new gameplay, but
I'll just say my suspicions were confirmed that these areas are much larger than in the first game. Like, and what I mean by that is like you dang it, whatever. Screw it. Screw that thought. The gummy is hitting me really hard right now.
Oh, we're getting to that point. We're getting to that.
Woo. But anyway, so they did include a stealth gameplay element that's similar to Last of Us Listening, where like you can kind of see through the enemies through the walls and stuff. So it's not as strictly linear as the first game was, because enemies are like all over, and you have to figure out completely different ways around them. And the maps that they designed are big enough for you to make different decisions and stuff. So I will say it's bigger. You can tell the budget got a little bigger for this.
Yeah, that first game was a hit, and so
the spirit is still there of it being not a AAA game though.
Okay, and that's October 18th. So I tell you what, October is looking pretty full right now. Just as a quick kind of summary of what's coming out in October, we've got Marvel's Midnight Suns on the 7th, Forspoken on the 11th, Plague Tale Requiem on the 18th. Scorn on the 21st.
Scorn.
Gotham Knights.
Tapestries.
Gotham Knights and High on Life on the 25th, and Modern Warfare on the 28th. It's a pretty full month of games, like wide variety.
Sweet.
Pretty full.
I'm so stoked for Forspoken.
Lastly, here on the news that I've got, at least there's plenty of the news stories that I didn't highlight. These are the ones that I just grabbed. Miyazaki says that From Software's next game is in the final stages of development. So I was kind of looking back on this a little bit, and they actually talked about how they've got their teams in some ways working together and kind of like cross purposes together on the team working on. I think at that point it was was it 4 games? It was a lot.
Yeah, I remember this from years ago.
And there was like Sekiro was one of them. Elden Ring was one. There was one other one I forget, but they're saying that this 4th game, whatever it is in the final stages of development. Right now, the rumors that are pretty strong seem to be leaning towards Armored Core 6, but there's no confirmation of that whatsoever. But that's what
that would be rad. That would be rad.
What's interesting too is that this one, according to the pieces that people have put together, probably started development in 2016. That timing works for a Bloodborne sequel, which was a 2015 game, but that's probably, being overly optimistic. Probably Armored Core 6, but yeah,
Armored Core 6 would be awesome. I wonder if they would go back to the because I think what was the one on PS? I think there was one on PS3.
I never got into these games, so I don't know.
Okay, there was one on PS3 that was a little more actiony. They weren't as like sort of fluid in their movement with like the previous ones back in like PS1, PS2. And I think people didn't like that one on the PS3 as much as the previous ones, but
gotcha.
they're pretty fun. There's a lot of customization. Like if you're super into just mechs, there's a lot of
it's a simulator for something that doesn't exist, but like it is a simulator. Like it is
it?
The amount
I thought it was action arcadey, no?
No.
Okay.
It's very slow and methodical, and there is some flying and some dashing and stuff like that, but like really you're a giant mech and you feel the weight of how big you are.
If you add a lot of big
that's the other thing, if you're adding giant pieces, the slower your mech is, and like you can change every square inch of what is on your mech. Like the customization, even back on PS1 and PS2, were like out of this world. It was very, very, very complicated, hard games, which is very of From Software. It's very of their DNA. So when people are like, "Wow, they made Armored Core," I'm like, "Yeah, remember how hard those games were? Of course they did. It's so part of it. But yeah, I'm super excited if it is going to be a new Armored Core. I don't think I played the PS3 games. I don't even know if From did those PS3 games, or I'm not exactly sure. But I remember them. I remember it or them. I forget if there were multiple ones not being received as well as the PlayStation 2 games. So
no, I think they've done all of them.
Okay, well, cool.
They've done they've done all of them. The last one was on 360 and
so
PS3.
Armored Core for Answer, which was on PS3, 360. Developer From Software. Yeah. So, I think that's the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think Armored Core V, which is 5, I believe, was released in 2012. So it's been a minute.
Okay, so that was actually new. So there was a newer one. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was 2012. So there you go. Cool. All right, well, that's all I've got for news, headlines, and all that stuff. Unless I'm missing something or there's something else that you guys wanted to highlight before we do a little Obi-Wan spoiler chat to wrap things up. Last chance. Anything else?
Yes, I have a lot. I'm sorry. I'll whatever. I'll cut a few. Umbrella Academy season 3.
Oh, this is stuff you're watching. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. So Umbrella Academy season 3 is really enjoyable. I don't know if Kyle's done with it yet, but
I'm on episode 8, episode 7 or 8.
Yeah. Really enjoyable. It's not like The Boys where it's like you can't do that on TV or anywhere. But it is entertaining. It's R-rated.
It's still R-rated, really violent. Which is important.
And the characters are just really well written, in my opinion.
I think it's got the best style. Not style. Style's not the right word. Like vibes, I guess. Like every season, like there's some really interesting James Gunn level. Good. James Gunn level of music usage in all seasons 1, 2, and 3. So it's just like if you're a real big sucker for the right song coming on at the right moment, this series really handles that well, I'd say.
Yeah. So it's fun, and I can't wait for you to get to the finale and see what you think there. That's
was it?
I like that every season. It's Netflix. Every season, it's like the world's ending and we caused it.
Every single season, and
I never get old. Yeah, I never. Yeah.
I'm still
it's different enough. The way the world's ending, everything's different. Just every season is different. It's a good show. Yeah. I really enjoy it. I think it's
great soundtracks they always have for those shows for that show too.
And
always great music.
Different. I think there's only 4 volumes in the graphic novel, so I think the season 4, if they get renewed, will probably be the last one.
Yeah, the more that this is enjoyed, the more likely Netflix is going to cancel it. So get it in.
Yeah. So please watch it. Talk about how great it is.
Yeah.
And
Right.
let's just end this cancellation.
Let's
I was,
get it out of the way. Let's
I-
expedite it.
I wanted to ask how brave and stunning was sort of how they handled Elliot Page in this show, because
So
that was supposed to be a big deal, right?
So Jeff and I had a sidebar conversation about this. They handled it perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
like
did.
it like maybe 10 minutes is spent on it, you know.
Total.
When you have the right
Total.
writing team,
He,
and people
let me
involved,
just
you
say, like
trust them, you know?
he is like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm a dude now, and everyone's like, cool, we accept that, and I'm like, hey, that's how you know,
All right.
that's how easy it should
They're
be.
like,
So
They're like, okay, whatever, but you can't just
Yeah.
butt into it. Like they immediately went back to the plot. Like
Yeah. Well, the world's
you
ending,
can't just butt
so-
into our family affairs and speak for all of us. Or
Right,
whatever.
'cause-
they immediately,
Yeah. All right.
which
Fair
was
enough.
great. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like it didn't take
there's
over.
no
the show or
pandering. There's no like
Sure,
it took
sure.
over a whole episode. Like it's like I thought it was handled neatly. You know,
Basically,
I
how
think-
it should be in real life. Like,
Exactly
oh, we get a
how it should be in
trans
real life. I
person?
think Elliot Page had a lot of like say in how it was going to be handled. So
I think
like,
so, too.
I don't know. I think it felt good without like it feeling like, wow, like we're wasting. That's not a good. We're spending a lot of time like on
Yeah.
explaining this. You
Like
know,
you said, pandering.
when the
like-
universe is
Yeah.
ending. Come on.
yeah,
man.
the universe is ending, and like there's little time like to explain all that
Right.
stuff.
Oh man,
It's just
I like when my shows lecture me about how I should view things. So I wish they did that a little more.
Yeah.
It's a bummer to
And
hear that.
it makes me feel it felt good, you know, and it especially because like the family's so like cool. We respect that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this is yeah.
Uh,
Every trans person ever probably wanted it to be just like this. You know.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
a big
I
deal though.
agree.
That's a tricky
Coming from
Line.
someone who's not trans, I
Yeah.
agree.
like I'm sorry, but it's a tricky
Jesus
line in real world, and we can pretend like, oh, it just should be easy. Like that's very tricky
Right.
to walk that line and for everyone involved. And
is,
so, but when you have a writing team and creatives involved, like you have for that show, like if anyone's going to handle it well, I think it's going to be them because they've already
Mhm.
done some crazy stuff and really creatively piece
Mhm.
things together. So I don't doubt for a second they handled it well. Although that I was kind of expecting there to be. Did you guys ever watch Schitt's Creek?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
funny show. Not the funniest show I've ever seen. A very kind of charming, funny. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
I
But
agree.
that show fell into the trap of, hey, let's make sure we lecture our audience for 2 or 3 episodes about
Yeah.
this. And I didn't. I thought that actually took away some of what made those characters special and let them be normal people. It was a little too like leaning into lecturing. And we talked about this with Falcon and Winter Soldier too. Like it's much more impactful if you don't tell me directly how I'm supposed to process and think about this. Like lay out the story and characters in a way that I have no choice but to think of it that way. But I don't have to go down that road too far. It's nice to hear that they didn't do that here, and so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch the season regardless when we get back to Netflix because we
Mhm.
think Umbrella Academy is just a great show.
It's such
Yeah,
a ride.
it's
Such a
fun.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to mention Beavis and Butthead being back.
Wait, what?
Yes, Beavis
Like
and Butthead. There is a
new
movie.
shows?
There is a new movie
New
on
movie.
Paramount Plus called Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe,
Oh my God! Stop.
and
it.
it is
A
it's just one of
multiverse?
it's one of the best things you'll ever see this year. I swear to God, it's so good,
I
and
don't
that's
believe
not
you.
even sarcasm. I
Yeah, I
swear
don't-
to
I
God,
don't
I don't
believe
believe you.
it's
I
so
don't.
effing funny. And it's so shocking how funny it is too, because I went in with like the not low expectations, but like this will be a 5 out of 10 or something. Like I expected it to be
Sure.
like fine. But like they really put them, man, they did such a smart thing of like having them be at NASA at the beginning of the movie. There's a long thread there. I'm not gonna pull on it because you got to see the jokes and how they get there. But they get there in the late 90s, and then something happens, and they're suddenly in 2022, and like the all of the modern technology and them being talked at about like white privilege and stuff. It's just there's just so many great payoffs to those jokes. Like immediately the next scene when they discover white privilege, immediately the next scene they go to the cafeteria and they're like, that cake is ours and yours. White privilege.
So it's the same voice
we have
actors, I'm
white
guessing.
privilege. We can do what we want. So they totally misunderstood it, like they do everything. God dang it, it's so funny though. I promise, it's really funny. And it's on. If you got Paramount Plus, and Tim, they still didn't cancel your subscription.
I still get it for free right now. So
They don't listen to our show then. You're good.
they don't. The good people at CBS and Paramount do not listen to the Current Gen podcast.
They
That's
do
all
not.
right.
Well, thank God. And I just wanted to mention right before I jumped on, I was watching Prehistoric Planet, which is a Richard Attenborough docuseries
Yeah.
on Apple Plus, TV Plus, whatever. and Hans Zimmer does the score for that. I love that guy.
Nice.
So I'm baffled at this technology, like, because it feels like I'm watching dinosaurs and they filmed it. Like, it's just crazy to me how detailed everything is in this show.
Does it tell a story, or is it done like a nature documentary? Okay.
It's done like is it Richard Attenborough? I always confuse
him.
We
talked about this before.
It's David.
It's David.
It's David?
Right? Yeah, it's David.
So David's not the one that's in Jurassic Park. Okay, just making sure. So they kind of do like this loose thing where they follow one specific species through a day in the life or whatever. But he does that on like all of his documentaries that he's so he's kind of doing that with this, but it's just I'm just amazed that the CG doesn't feel.
Is it just like that, or is there more of a story? I guess I'm still trying to get a.
Not really.
Okay,
it's not really. No, there's not like a story. It's just.
So it's like this mother Triceratops is walking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, dude, that type of stuff.
David Attenborough is 96.
Yeah, he's
wow, dude.
He actually died 20 years ago. And,
they showed him on camera, and I was like, he's a corpse. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you can't Weekend at Bernie's this guy.
They're like speaking of dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also speaking of dinosaurs, look up on YouTube. Richo Attenborough hates the poor.
Oh,
thank me later.
Oh no,
not a big fan of poor people. That guy.
Check that out. But
that tracks. That adds up.
As you mentioned that show, I gotta give a shout out to both Thomas and Jackie from our group. They both have talked about how this show is awesome.
Yeah.
So I do need to check it out.
I'm not huge on nature documentaries, whatever, but it's just if enough people are talking about it, then I'm like,
I am.
All right, I'll check it out.
Those are very much my jam.
I like those. I like those, and I also like really good visuals too. So I like both.
Yeah, the visuals are what making me go, okay, let's go to the next episode.
Dude, I can't pretend like I don't go down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos of animals doing crazy stuff or funny reactions or crazy fights. Like I definitely fall down that rabbit hole when I'm like, I should be going to sleep, but I keep watching bear attacks or whatever it is I'm watching. So,
that's dark.
Yeah.
I'm just watching the Revenant scene over and over again.
Or it could be like watching a deer and a puppy become best friends. I'm like, oh, let me see that happen. You know?
Yeah. That's me on TikTok. Like half
that's me on Facebook.
Are just
like
adorable
Dodo
stuff.
and everything. I think that's my whole feed is just cute animals.
I'm like, all right, I'll watch that. Anyway.
I did want to mention, I don't know if you want me to go into it all, but I did see 2 new movies that came out this week, Elvis and The Black Phone.
Okay, yeah.
I like Elvis.
How's Ethan Hawke in The Black Phone, real quick?
But Ethan Hawke he's strangely found his niche this late in his career where he can be a creepy yet somehow charismatic dude. And this one is way more creepy than the cult guy from Moon Knight. But
seems like it.
Yeah, obviously. But I don't know how, man. You can feel his facial expressions through those masked scenes just by his breathing being so off. You're like, this is discomfort. It's really hard to watch sometimes. Just his performance.
Sure.
There's nothing about it that's scary though, but it is creepy. There's some creepy moments, and they do try to do the cheap jump scare thing that a lot of horror movies do, which is fine. But the story having a supernatural element where these 2 siblings can kind of talk to ghosts and stuff. It's in the trailers, I promise. They can kind of talk to ghosts and stuff. So when one of them and they're kind of discovering this supernatural part of their life, I guess. So when one of them gets kidnapped, the boy gets kidnapped. He's talking to ghosts through the phone that's in the disconnected phone that's in his room in his basement, where he's locked up, and he's talking to ghosts through that have been there before, meanwhile, his sister's having dreams or whatever. I'm not going to go into that. But there is a scene where she's interrogated by the cops on her dreams. And she gets so mad at them. And she's she calls them fart knockers. And I just forgot that word existed.
Fart knockers.
I was dying. I couldn't believe what I heard. I was like, fart knockers.
You know what? That's one of the more underappreciated insults.
It is. And the movie's set in the 70s, so I'm like, oh, this tracks. Fart Knocker was still pretty popular in the 70s to 90s. But yeah, she's really funny. The little sister, she's actually quite funny. She's praying to Jesus or whatever at one part, and then the next time we see her, she's like, Jesus, what the F? It's so funny. But Elvis I thought it was going to suck because Baz Luhrmann, who did Moulin Rouge and Romeo plus Juliet and Australia, his movies just annoy the bejesus out of me. He did Great Gatsby too with Leo from all the gifs of him toasting you with a martini glass or whatever. But yeah, so he does this quick cut edit style, like on like every scene. That's what irks me. I'm like, just let these actors breathe, man. It feels like you're constantly like this when you're shooting them, but he's not. He's just this editing style, I guess, that he likes. Elvis does that the first hour of the movie. And then through the rest of it, it's like this consistent thing where I'm like, I was actually riveted and hooked by what was happening because the guy who plays Elvis is so freaking good.
Yeah.
And I think he played Tex in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He's gonna play the bad guy in Dune 2.
Yeah, he's gonna be Fade.
He's playing Fade. The guy Sting played the character in David Lynch's version.
Dude, I love seeing a new actor just kind of like find their thing.
Yeah, he's like kind of
like
blowing up. And then when I look past his other films, I'm like, oh, I've seen him in tons of other stuff. I just didn't realize it. But yeah, he was the one that Brad
Pitt
was like,
he's on a new echelon now. He's just hitting that next.
Yeah, he was that actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood who like Brad Pitt was like criticizing his name. He was like, "What was your name again?" Or no, he said, "I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's bidding," which is like a famous line from the Manson era. And he said, "Nah, your name was dumber than that." And it's just roasting him.
I love that movie.
That's what it was. Oh man, but that's when he like the mushrooms or whatever he took acid. So he's like just mocking everybody. It's such a great scene. Anyway,
Dan,
Elvis,
I can't hear you. Is your mic still on, Dan?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
okay. I thought you.
I was saying, are you talking about your mushrooms there, Jeffrey?
Hey man, that's not the type of edibles I consume. Okay, they're totally legal in Texas, which should tell you something. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, so those are legal, but other things aren't.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't make sense here at all. Loopholes.
Sorry, whatever. got real world there for a second.
So, yeah. So like, there's a part where Elvis apparently he did this for real, or this happened for real. He plays a baseball stadium type gig, kind of like the Beatles did back in the day. And this is when he's first coming up. So like, he's not allowed to do any gyrations. He's not allowed to do anything. The cops are there to tell him not to do that stuff. And so he does, and he gets pulled off stage and arrested. And then the rest of the movie is just freaking really good after that. Like, cool. And that's still like, it's a 2.5 hour movie. So that's still an hour and a half of the movie. That's really freaking good.
Yeah.
But the first hour is like, this is so annoying. Get me out of here.
Did they go into how he stole rock and roll from the black community, or
he in the movie?
I'm not even saying that to be funny. I'm actually legitimately.
In the movie, and if you like look up biographical tidbits about that, because I was curious about it for real.
Yeah.
He grew up in that community, and anytime he was interviewed about his music, he was always like, "No, man, I got that music from black people." Like every time.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, so, like, I didn't. That's pretty interesting.
Like when they called him the king of rock and roll, he was like, "No, man, Fats Domino's the king of rock and roll. I'm not the king." Like he would always like kind of just deflect.
Does the movie go into that at all? Does it portray that?
Somewhat. He hangs out with like BB King, who's younger, obviously much younger, in the movie, and like they talk about it, and BB King talks about like to him, he's like, you can keep doing those moves, dude, and you'll get away with it. It's fine. Like I can't even go to the same club as you would not get shot because like segregation laws and where it's still in effect. So he's like, they were acknowledging their differences in society. Like,
cool. I'm into that.
More than I anticipated.
I think that because that's the big thing with Elvis that I always think of is that like that's the guy that like brought rock and roll from one community into like the mainstream and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
I didn't know
it was viewed at the time though, for sure, because again, segregation laws were still intact. So like like there were segregated audiences were coming to his shows because he appealed to both communities, especially locally. So like they definitely reflect that. Now, obviously, that music didn't unify shit or whatever. That can be your take now, but like in the 50s when that shit was outlawed, it is a big deal. Like it is a big deal that his music like caused people to kind of celebrate and dance together. Like it's a huge deal.
Context matters.
I think that's cool. Yeah, because he's often villainized.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're saying we look back at history and villainize people after the fact.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
We don't do that.
We actually just started doing that.
Okay,
got
Tim,
did he tweet?
Thank
you.
Did
he tweet anything mean?
So he would have.
It's on the table now.
Did he delete his tweets?
There was something in the movie I wanted to mention that's related to him being canceled, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I was just going to say he's not definitely a perfect human being or anything like that. Right. The movie doesn't touch on the fact that he met his wife when she was 14 and he was like in his 20s or whatever.
Yeah,
that's when he met her, and then he just constantly stayed in touch with her until, hey, I can marry her now. So I'm just saying, The movie doesn't touch on that at all. They do meet,
Yeah,
they
sure.
do get married, but the movie's not like,
She's
basically a child.
Yeah. Do they suddenly make Elvis's gay companion an out of nowhere villain like they do in Queen?
What?
No, there's none of that.
Nothing outlandish like that.
You can tell from the
like
beginning.
Suddenly
that,
in the third act,
so
Freddie
Tom
Mercury's
Hanks plays
boyfriend.
his Tom Hanks plays his money sucking manager,
Yeah.
and you get the sense that he's like that from the minute he comes on screen. So there's no like sudden betrayal.
Okay.
It's just what you expected to happen happens basically.
Yeah.
At a certain point, he's like, "All right, well, you owe me this much money if you want to fire me," and I was like, "Well, I clearly can't pay that, so I guess I'm stuck with you now." Like there is a moment where that happens. That they never talk about before, but like you see it coming a mile away just from Tom Hanks, whatever the hell accent he's doing. Like you can just tell this guy's mustache twirling and cartoonish and evil.
Yeah.
So there's no. It's not like surprising. Like, was it the Queen movie that happened?
Yeah, Queen movie is Freddie Mercury's like
Or is it
boyfriend. Rocket Man also had a blood-sucking like producer. Or
Yeah,
yeah. Rob Stark, who
That's
Pretty
right.
common thing.
Yeah,
So the manager that Tom Hanks plays is actually more of the lead. He's like a narrator and stuff. So like they actually kind of tell it from his perspective, even though it's Elvis is definitely more. It's more developed sympathy for him in the movie, but like. Yeah, he's heavily.
Does he gain weight in this movie? Does he put on that Elvis weight?
I think he's just wearing. Him. Yes, he puts on a fat suit for the last scene, and an old fat suit, I guess, because he's older. He's like 50s or whatever. Right. But the actor's still like 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
But so like he's in that fat suit at the end for his last performance. They do show his last performance, and you can look it up on YouTube. His last televised performance, and it's something to behold because they shot it. And it looks like this actor just so emulates Elvis to such a perfect degree. Like you can do comparisons and stuff, and it's amazing.
It's pretty good.
So I don't know. I mean, it's not really a musical in a traditional sense. The music will happen, and then it'll kind of cut off through dialogue. So music is kind of more in the background, or I don't know. There's never really a full song section, except for when he starts his Vegas gigs. I think that's the first time I recall hearing an entire song. But so yeah, if musicals aren't your thing, it's not a traditional one. That's what I'm trying to say.
I do like musicals. I just continue to not usually be interested in biopics. They just don't.
I get that because this one is literally doing Walk Hard. Like in the first act of in the first 15 minutes, he's like around black people and going to black churches and listening to black people play blues, and like it's literally Walk Hard.
I mean, to be honest, that's another one I haven't seen because I'm not interested in biopics usually. So like
Walk Hard is a spoof, though. You haven't even seen
I thought I was talking about. I was thinking of Walking the Line.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Walk Hard is a spoof of like Walk the Line / Elvis's entire life. And it's so freaking funny, dude. Oh my god. But yeah, that movie ruined music biopics, like all of them, going forward. So
good.
The fact that Elvis still managed to suck me in, even though being aware of Walk Hard's existence and all the jokes in there,
that says
I think that says more about the quality of the performances and what was happening in the movie.
Nice.
I talked way too much about Elvis. Can we get to Obi-Wan? Oh my god.
That wasn't our fault. That was Texas's fault.
It's always Texas's fault.
Yeah, I think we're
blaming.
Who else can we blame for things that are going wrong? Hey, Kyle.
Old white people.
I wanna lean into Kyle for this question because we don't have to do this. We don't have to talk Obi-Wan because I know that can be annoying and frustrating, especially if you're a big fan. Just want to enjoy it. That's fine. But I generally have almost all positive things to say. But if you guys aren't getting into that right now, if it's been a long show and you're ready to go, we can do that in a different time if you want to.
I took all the time up with Elvis. That's what
I specifically have strong feelings. I mean, as I would assume most people do about the last episode.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't care. Yeah,
okay.
We can talk.
I only say that because same with Dan with Final Fantasy, you with Star Wars. We all kind of have our thing. I don't know if I have anything at that level for either of you, but anyway.
Me with John Mayer. Just don't.
Jeff with John Mayer.
Just don't even try.
Jason Mraz.
I only say that because I know that because the conversation is already so intense around these IP, whenever anything happens with them, it can be exhausting. And so when we just want to have just kind of a off the cuff,
Exhausting's a good word. Yeah.
it could be frustrating if you weren't really like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So I just wanted to check. Does that make sense? That I
No, I think that's super thoughtful of you. And yeah, I mean, I am usually too tired, because I even said it in chat. I'm usually too tired to talk to people about Star Wars. I literally said that in chat like 2 days ago.
I think that's
me with at least with Last Jedi. Like,
Kyle,
as
this is the
as soon as
safe
a hater
place.
brings up Last Jedi, I go, we're done.
Well,
with
and
this. Can't do the
I
same.
don't care, dude. I'm so happy people have their own opinions and everything like that. Just him worded it really well. It's just like sometimes I just want to enjoy something,
tiring.
and like I don't like all the extra noise is like annoying.
Very.
Well, that's the
very.
thing. Like,
I've tempered
Listen,
myself about it.
I say that because conversations about anything are exhausting these days because everyone has a lot of
I've been
thoughts
tired
about a
since
lot
I
of
called
things.
in. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the political conversations and the cultural straw mans that are being. I'm tired of all of it, and so
Tim, if you
I
don't
didn't-
like them, then you're racist. That's what
I didn't.
happens.
Oh my gosh. Like, you can't have a view on anything without someone else telling you how horrible you are because of that view, and that includes
Yeah.
Star Wars, crazily enough. So
Yeah,
anything,
it includes anything. Everything's on the table.
It includes
yeah.
anything. So
It
I
feels like it at
float
this point. Yeah.
So I generally have positive things to say after being kind of up and down throughout, and it's because, let me just throw this out there. I don't have a ton of detailed thoughts to go into, but I just wanted to say I got to the point where I was like, hey, this is an interpretation of no, this is a specific story within an interpretation of the universe, and it doesn't have to connect every, like, I think of it like building a building. This is not like putting a new building in where all the pipes have to connect perfectly, otherwise the whole neighborhood's going to be a mess. This is not what that is. So like, and a lot of times we think of it that way, like, hey, if you're going to insert this story right here into this spot in the timeline, you better not mess up one detail or you're done. And I understand where that comes from because we all hold these things so dearly, and I sometimes do the same thing. But once I kind of let it go and said, you know what, instead of that, how about we allow it to be, okay, they're interpreting the universe around it in a certain way, telling a story within that, and that makes it much easier for me to digest and be like, well, okay, that detail might not line up with what I remember from A New Hope, but you know what, it's fine. I'm just going to enjoy it for what they've made, and that allowed me to really enjoy the overall series, even though I could put on my critic hat, just like I could with most shows, I guess, and movies, and really kind of like, boy, they really messed this part up. So I chose not to do that, and boy, did I enjoy it a lot more. And I keep seeing YouTube video, like titles, how they, and even the titles, I'm like, man, how sad that
the cringy clickbait titles or whatever.
Yes, how sad that you clearly are not even allowing yourself to enjoy it. So I started watching the beginning of one from a YouTuber who I kind of enjoy some of their content, and I was like, oh wow, you really didn't like this element. Let me see what you had to say. And you could tell from the beginning when they started off the conversation by saying, like, it was him and his other Star Wars fan, apparently. They claimed to be Star Wars fans, and they kind of go like, oh, dude, do you want to just go first, or should I? Like, do you want to unload first? Like, they clearly already hate everything about this. And I just stopped watching. I was like, I have no interest in this at this point.
Yeah, I have a guy that I follow on YouTube. I don't anymore. I haven't for years. Called Star Wars Theory, and like he is the top like guy of knowledge and lore and everything like that. Has hated everything that Disney has done since took it over, and has turned it to his entire identity.
Got it.
Like where he's just like, here we go again, another day in Star Wars Disney. I'm like, dude, you've been reporting on this for like 6, 8, however long they've been doing this, 8 years, 6 years, or whatever.
I guess 7 since.
If it's so 7, miserable, stop.
Right. So that was a long way of me saying, like, I let that stop as a pretty big fan. I'm not a major mega fan, but I'm a pretty big fan of Star Wars. I ended up really enjoying it, and if you just watch the first 3 episodes, you might be like me, kind of like, where are they going with this? I don't know how they're gonna. That's why it's a series. It's a whole 6-episode story.
It's a 6-hour movie.
I thought they tied it together really well, and I really enjoyed it.
Which is why I like watching things back to back.
Yeah, man.
Here we go. We got to talk about this again, don't we?
In this case, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're an idiot for it. But yes.
Hey, why don't you follow the advice right behind you? So.
I can't see what's behind me because it's fake.
He just starts looking. He's like, it's just my wall, man.
A key?
Yeah,
Mickey? It's not my real wall, right?
Mickey? oh. So what were your guys' thoughts? And you can get specific if you want to. This is going to be spoiler-ish. All of us have seen all the episodes, so if you're listening or watching and you don't want to hear anything about it, You can. This is the last thing we're
episode
talking
ended
about.
for you,
So,
yeah.
you can shut it down.
I
But
can't believe they killed Luke, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it really
Was there actual
we're
articles?
really in the multiverse of madness now. You know what I mean?
Was that real though? Were there actual articles being written? Like, are they gonna kill?
You can't. Anyone who like you can Photoshop anything these days. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like
I just wanna make
I don't
sure.
know what's real or what's not. you
It's
know?
hard to
there
say
were-
because I
I
don't visit
think
that
there were
website.
speculative articles before the final episode saying, "What if they did this and they create a multi?" There were speculative pieces
Oh.
about it. I think.
Okay, well that's dumb.
It's just
Yeah.
not. That's not what Star Wars has ever been.
Yeah, right.
About, so
in
that'd be really-
fact, in Rebels, they introduced time travel and stuff like that, and they're like, no, let's not do that again.
So can I just point out the things that people
Yeah.
were ticked off early in this series because
Absolutely.
Grand
Yeah.
Inquisitor was one of the big ones. I can't believe you killed
Yeah.
him off. You just broke the canon. Well, no, they didn't, because there was
Well,
a
you
plan
didn't-
for that storyline. And
You didn't watch the whole
right.
show. Yeah.
And again,
Right.
we're doing spoilers here. He of course shows back up alongside Darth Vader. They
she
knew.
has two stomachs.
They-
Also,
I know.
Wow.
A lot of people can survive big stomach stabs.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
And
they,
he's not the first person to survive via rage. There's a whole, arc with Maul. He gets sliced in half in anger to Obi-Wan.
And
keeps him
is still alive,
so.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
So-
like a little poke in the stomach, like Maul got literally sliced in half, so
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the? We'll go to Obi-Wan in a second, but what do you think about the Reva storyline, her arc of who they end up revealing her to be? Who I thought was pretty
I can
obvious.
tell you what the internet thought about her.
No, I want to hear what
God dang.
you guys think.
What a
Wait,
train
hold
wreck.
on. Which
cesspool.
character?
And by the
Reva,
way,
the third
it's
sister.
a few jerks.
Oh,
but
okay.
Wait, what do you think about what they did with her storyline,
Well-
which I think was telegraphed, but still?
Yeah.
It's a classic story of of light going to dark and dark going back to light.
Yeah.
You've seen that story with like Quinlan Voss. Maybe not you guys, but people Star Wars fans have seen that story before.
Kylo
Knights of the Old Republic. Kylo Ren's a good example of that.
Yeah.
It's something that has happened many times before. So people who were mad about it, I was just like, well, this happens a lot. This is a pretty used storyline or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought the even the sister in Fallen Order, like she's kind of like at the very end, it's like, hey, maybe I was wrong, and then Vader kills her at the end. So it's just like this is a story that we've seen plenty of times, and I thought the execution was fine. I thought it was good. I kind of think it was a weird place to put it in with such a personal story with Vader and Obi-Wan. So like sometimes it kind of felt disruptive, just like being there. But
I can see that. Yeah.
But like I don't. That's not a criticism. It's just more of an observation, But like you have to have the Inquisitors there because at this time they're at odds with Vader, like vying for like the Emperor's like eye, So like Vader like hates the Inquisitors and like their existence and like they're just kind of tools to him and stuff like that, and they're very existing during this time, so they had to be in this show in some capacity. If Vader was going to be in there, because they were kind of always in his litter, So I've seen a lot of criticisms like, well, like the fifth brother, like Han from but he doesn't do anything, and all these people don't do anything, and it's like, yeah, they don't, because it's not really about them. We're here to see Obi-Wan and Vader, face off. They're just there because in the canon they would have been there, they would have been there in the situation. So.
And heaven forbid Disney try to create Disney try to create a new character, because everybody always gives them crap.
And
not making anything new in Star Wars.
Shame on her for being black and female, right, guys?
Oh my god.
It's interesting. I don't think any of the criticism directed at her made any sense, because she is clearly a good actress, but sometimes, I'm not trying to be critical here, but sometimes the writing just wasn't great for her character. It got better. It got better as I want to be clear. I think it got better as the show went on. I thought that they gave her better material as the episodes went on, and I thought that's why it felt like, well, I don't hate her that much. Well, that's because the material that she had to work with got better, I thought.
Well, and another thing I always see, it's like, well, she was just so emotional. I was like, well, yeah, you follow the dark side by having emotions. That's the whole. That's the whole story, guys, that we've been doing since the beginning of all this. That the dark side is giving into your emotion. So that's why Kylo Ren throws tantrums, and we didn't like it then either. And Reva doesn't like it, but Vader in this show throws tantrums
big time,
and we love it. Everyone nom, where everyone's eating it up. So it's okay that he does it, but any other Sith, God forbid, ever have feelings about it.
Well, also, I mean, for God's sakes, this guy that was a Jedi just came waltzing in and just started murdering kids. Of course she's gonna have emotions.
Traumatizing, man.
And the rage, like you said, connected to the Sith stuff.
Did I now when in her flashback? did she get stabbed as a kid and survive that?
She did. She got stabbed and survived. Yeah. So
Okay,
she like survived underneath like the bodies of her friends, which I thought was dark. It was super dark, you know. Which Jeff and I were also talking. It's like, you know, there are articles where it's like this show was darker at one point. And I was like, man, if it was any darker, you couldn't have it on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Like it was already skirting the line of like being. Vader walks into a town and just starts murdering people.
Dude, snapping necks.
Yeah, like... snapping necks and like killing kids and like you know, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, this is what Vader in the Disney era has never like. We've gotten the coolest version of Vader ever with Rogue One and this and stuff like that. Like Vader's back and he's the coolest bad guy ever, you know, and like that's because of Disney's like tutelage or
closing scene of Rogue One, one of the coolest things Star Wars has ever seen.
Yeah, and we get a lot of this. Like there's moments where Vader's like walking really quickly into a room because he's frustrated, and I'm like, boy, look at that guy walk. Like it's just there's a presence of him physicality wise.
Can I just say something? So like obviously Star Wars started in the 70s, right? Or late 70s, 77?
77. Yeah.
70. So like not to sound like a jerk, but like I think Vader is inherently a little goofy looking. If I'm going to be honest, I think it's like something, I don't know. I think it's something about the helmet is a little goofy looking, but he walks into a room and you're like, I'm like, holy shit, what's this guy's about to do?
I gotta pretend to take a phone call real quick.
Yeah, like it's still he has a you're right. He has a presence. I mean, he's goofy,
Hayden Christensen,
I think, in my opinion, but
yeah, I don't get that at all. But the other part I do. Hayden had to like go through like training of how to like walk like Vader and stuff like that. Like he went through like a 6-week like walking.
Yeah, because he never actually got to
walking.
Vader.
Yeah,
right?
so like that. A lot of like there's 3 people playing Vader in this show. You know,
I was gonna say it wasn't always
just like the Mandalorian. You know, like there's the Sword Master. You know, who does a lot of the shots like in the combat scenes. There's the tall guy in the suit, so anytime he needs to be standing next to someone to make him seem like he's taller than everybody, that guy's in the suit, and then Hayden's in the suit the rest of the time. So just like the Mandalorian, it takes like 3 different people to like play these characters.
My head hurts just trying to think of the logistics of putting together those shots, man. No thank you to any of that. So in general, I thought they did a pretty good job with Reva's storyline, even though I kind of guessed it when they put out the tweet. We're excited to see her story unfold. I was like, oh, okay, she turns good at the end. Like I saw it coming before the story told me it was going to happen, so I was a little annoyed.
The show opens up. I was going to say the show opens up like on you seeing a girl. I was like, oh, hello, you know, like I caught it immediately. I was like, hey, that's probably Reva, you know.
Same here.
I wouldn't have known she's going to turn good. Because I didn't, so maybe you guys knew that this character existed before the show started. I'm just going in as a user.
I wasn't aware,
No, she's a brand new character. She's a brand new character of the show.
No, I know. I'm just saying, you guys are sounding like you're saying as soon as you saw a character, you knew she was going to turn good at the end.
No, I'm just saying that the second I saw a little black girl in the very first scene of the show, I go, that's Reva.
Like I didn't know that Reva was a name before the show started.
Well, I just knew because we saw trailers of her in the trailers.
Okay.
You know, you see. When you're watching an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, Reva is in the trailers. So, like, I was like, oh, that's the Inquisitor that's going to be hunting everybody is this little girl in the first scene of the show. I had no idea she's going to turn good. That's not what I'm talking
Okay, fair enough. That's what I was trying to say was that, unfortunately, in this day and age of social media, when we don't have to go into a discussion about what happened, who said what, and whether or not it was overreacted to, overanalyzed, or given too much of a platform. But on the other side, unfortunately, because Disney needed to defend their actress, which they shouldn't have to defend her from this horrible stuff that's being said. I agree, they shouldn't have to. But the way they defended her, at least for me as an average Twitter scroller, I was like, oh, she's going to turn good. Because they said, we love Moses and we're excited about the character Reva and watching her story unfold. What else could that mean? I'm sorry, but I feel like Disney spoiled their own character. Maybe that's just for me. Maybe that's only a Tim problem, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, she's going to turn good. So I was kind of waiting for the good turn to happen. So when they revealed, like, oh, she was one of the kids, I'm like, yeah, of course she's trying to kill Vader. Like, that to me made it disappointing, and that's just because of the nature of our social media world that we're in, and I shouldn't have been reading it.
That's not even like a point that needs to be used to, like, not harass a human being who's playing a character. Like the fact that that's even, like, even having to be said is insane. Like,
correct.
It was nice seeing the cast stick up for each other. I felt like the sequel trilogy cast, like no one was really backing anybody up.
Again, that's why I'm separating those two things. Like they needed to support her. The cast supporting her is great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. But the way they worded that, like, it's almost like they were telling people, this is what me. I felt like they were almost telling everyone, don't worry, she's a good guy. You'll like her at the end. That's what it felt like they were communicating with. We're excited for her story to unfold. Would you
I
say that
definitely
about
didn't,
a hateful
get
villain?
that, but I kind of saw, again, like when we were a few episodes in, I was like, oh, I kind of see where we're going with this, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I figured out maybe organically. But
So trying to separate from that, I was like, I think I liked what they did with her story. We've seen it before in Star Wars. I said the same thing Kyle was saying earlier. The guys, this has been done before, and I thought they did a pretty good job of it. I liked the reveal that Vader's known all along, and like he kind of led her along to believe she was moving up the ranks and getting closer to him when she really wasn't. Like I liked all of that stuff. I thought that was well done and well played out. And it kind of made the earlier episodes make more sense. So I liked that. I overall enjoyed her storyline. And if they bring her back in future stories, I'm interested to see what they do with her.
Yeah, we got another Force user just out in the universe during a time where a lot of people during the original trilogy was like, "What's the Force?"
Right.
So yeah, that's fun.
That's
fun.
made up nonsense.
Yeah.
Totally
Han Solo. I've been around to a lot of places and never heard of that. It's like, dude, the Jedi existed 30 years ago, dude. I don't know why you're.
So the universe is infinite. So I mean,
sure
It was
that
in
this
a
didn't
galaxy that
exist.
was far away. Just don't worry about it.
The overall Obi-Wan storyline, I thought the way that they circled it back at the end was very, very satisfying. All the way down to that final battle where, over the last few episodes, he started to kind of get back to his old self.
I liked watching the rust fall off of him.
Both in terms of his ability, but also his confidence and like who he really is, his identity, kind of figuring out who he is, like remembering who he is, kind of that Mufasa moment, like remember who you are. Like he kind of had that where he remembered, oh yeah, I'm one of the best Jedi that's ever lived, and so I'm gonna do some cool stuff.
The freaking scene where he just lifts his hands up and just starts pelting the shit out of
rocks.
Vader for like
Not
a
even
full
rock,
minute.
Boulders
with boulders.
Yeah.
So cool.
Like, oh my god, like that was amazing.
I actually said out loud when that happened, I was like, Dragon Ball Z. Like for some reason that just made me think of that type of a fight where he's like,
that area
he almost had like a
fighting
smirk on. He had a smirk on his face too, a little bit, right? Like a tiny bit, like a little bit of a smirk.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Even the area they were fighting was very Dragon Ball Z, like just like stalagmites or stalactites coming from the ground.
Everyone who was complaining about the line in episode 4 where he says, "Last time we fought, I was a student, you were the master," or whatever that line is, right? And then they're like, "Well, look, he just got his butt kicked in the junkyard with the fire and all that stuff." Okay, well, that now no longer holds any water. That complaint doesn't even hold water because what just happened here in this final duel.
Yeah.
You saw who the master was.
He was still calling him master too, so it's like in his mind, those pieces of Anakin were still like calling him, So it's like, but after this fight and after he gave it all away, or after he like stopped this obsession and killed that little part of Anakin, like, he's the master now, So again, a lot of lines and moments actually recontextualize a lot of stuff from episode 4, 5, and 6 in ways that enhance it for the better.
I think so.
So I know I've said this before, and I mean, I'm not trying to like beat a dead horse. Like I'm not like as strong of a fan of the series as you guys are. Like Final Fantasy to me is what Star Wars is to like Kyle or whatever.
Yeah.
But that moment, especially when like Hugh and Obi-Wan is like, I am sorry. Like he's like pouring his soul out. I actually started to too. I was like, how is this hitting? Like, I'm not that connected, but like, I just felt it, man. Like, I remember the prequels. I actually did watch those because I was old enough. I was like, I'm going to go to the theater. I'm going to watch these in the theater. So like, I do remember the prequels. I don't have any strong opinions about them, negative or positive necessarily, but I felt the emotion there. Like it definitely hits you.
That was good. That was really good. I thought that was good. And then I thought, there was another moment that hit me.
It's when he's describing
the parents.
Oh my god! Yeah, I got because in that he was finally able to see Anakin for like he separated the two in his head finally. Like Anakin is Anakin, so he was able to say nice things about Anakin for the first time.
Right.
And like the way that he just described it to her, like to Leia, and even just like Leia looking over, and she's like, "Well, I've got parents. I don't need to know more than that." Like I was like,
the whole thing was very
this
sweet.
is like really,
and
good. Yeah,
so good.
And way to like connect it to Leia. Like here we are. Like now we know he has this actual deep connection, not just to Luke necessarily, although he's just kind of protecting Luke from afar, right? But like also he went on this journey saving the other
Leia,
Skywalker.
He had a higher connection with
right
him
right. Although I saw people bitching because in the original like I saw somebody a comment somewhere or something. They were like, "Oh, so like then why didn't she show more emotion when Obi-Wan died in the original trilogy?" It's like, well,
they didn't know they were going to connect it this way.
Right.
So that's what I was talking about at the beginning. Like,
Sure.
not every pipe in the building you're building is going to connect perfectly through the rest of the neighborhood.
Right.
Like, you let that part go, because that's true. Now that we know they had a very close bond, I actually have said this too. And it was like, should it bother me? You know what? No. And I think Kyle
George
said
didn't even think to make them siblings until like episode 8.
Right.
So, or
but
7.
Kyle,
wait, 8, 7, 8.
Kyle said something that jumped out to me. He said,
5 and 6, maybe?
this is what happens when you tell a story out of order. Not only out of order, but you have different storytellers with different styles, and they have different like this thing has warped and shaped. The fact that it stayed as canonized as it has is impressive.
Well, and also, can I just say, and I brought this up and kind of as a joke, but I really meant it as like a real like kind of counterpoint or whatever. She just lost her whole planet. You know what I mean? And she wasn't too cut up about that. You know what I mean? So it's allowed for her to just always be showing face because she's the princess and a senator and also a rebel leader and stuff like that. She's probably not going to be walking around going, "Oh, Ben, oh, Alderaan," you know,
right,
like, oh
right,
my God, you know,
exactly.
Like, Ben,
I haven't seen you keeping like it's part of her character to keep like a face, you know, because she's like the leader of the rebellion. So if she shows any kind of weakness, you know, like. It may not. So
the bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's just like, you know, I think you can make that assumption just by like knowing her character, you know. But also, these stories were told out of order, 30 years apart, and yada yada. So,
right.
Well,
yes.
Do you think when they made A New Hope, was that 35 years ago? How many years ago is that now? 45 years ago, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do math.
I'm not here to do math. It's Saturday, dude.
Dude, they made A New Hope 45 years ago. How dare they not know that there was going to be a series in the future where they were going to connect the young Leia with Ben, and she should have reacted.
When we have the technology, we're going to tell a story. You know?
So, again, those are elements of, and
you just got to let it go. You know?
Even I, as someone who loves almost everything that's Star Wars related, I was like, that's fine. What they did here was fine because boy, did they tell a good story. And Ben and Leia had a real connection. I loved their bond by the end, and it was very moving. So, none of that stuff.
Yeah, and really just making the prequels not seem cheesy.
They made the prequels way better, I think.
It just made them seem like so much darker. Really, like taking
really
the essence of like what Anakin, what happens to Anakin.
Well, even just seeing that clone trooper who's like a vet, like in his armor on the streets, homeless. I was like, boy, there's some social commentary here. Whoa, like
that was good.
You know, throwing vets to the side when it's not wartime anymore. You know what I mean? Or they're obsolete warriors. You know, we're just gonna throw them out and not take care of them. You know, like it was dark. That's some dark stuff. And the amount of like in the prequels, Anakin ignites his lightsaber and it cuts. In this, we see him swinging low. You know, there's a lot of like you see a lot more of him actually like pseudo slicing through little kids. You know, so it's like they really made everything a lot darker here. I feel like it'd be remiss to say like my favorite part is when he gets his like helmet cut in half.
Dude,
and you see like his burnt like body underneath there, and that whole exchange where
you hear him but you hear
tones of the mask as well.
Didn't you love the audio work there between
But also there's a very cool like there's a moment where he's like, "You didn't kill Anakin," and the blue is flashing on his face, you know, and you're like, "Oh, it's Anakin." You know, is Anakin like showing his face here? And he's like, "I killed Anakin." And then you see his red lightsaber take over the lighting of his face. And then you see his yellow light. And I'm just like, boy, they spent so much time on making sure that because I don't remember in anything ever lightsabers lighting up like this. Like lighting up everything around them, lighting up people's faces. Like they really made sure to like use that as a thematic tool, you know, in this I was gonna say in old movies, like they don't even omit light at all. You know what I mean? So like they don't omit light on anything. So it's so interesting to see like lighting off of like Vader's helmet. Like you see the fire.
It was like you said, they didn't light up in the original trilogy. The prequel trilogy are probably all CG. With a plastic toy or whatever, and practically. So yeah, now they're actually using lighting, and I think the sequel trilogy did it a little bit with
you see
with Last Jedi when he's like Ben is or whatever Kylo is.
You really see it in that scene.
You see it in that scene.
The lightsaber,
Yeah. Damn, that's
it's
good stuff.
It's definitely the background. They purposefully had the kind of like it is a pretty because it's dark and it's just kind of like these like just gray, very gray, rocky background. So I think they just like purposefully had that sort of almost like really plain background to have the lightsabers really emphasized.
It was great.
Which was a great move.
Also, just like the moment like where like Obi-Wan, he's standing with like his back towards like all the like mountains and stuff like that, and Vader's coming from nothing, like it's just like a barren wasteland behind him, like so it's just so cool to like just see that or whatever. There's like this backdrop moment where you see the moon. I guess they're on a moon, so it's the planet in the background. And then Obi-Wan standing here and Vader standing over here, and I'm like, that's a background. You can download that and put on your your desktop right now. A lot of cool moments like that. Qui-Gon showing up, pretty cool,
dude.
Big time.
For like 6 seconds, like
who cares, man. Money.
But it was just funny. It's just funny him showing up the set. Like
if y'all have got to see his Atlanta cameo, I'm telling you, you're gonna die. Like it's so funny. Dude.
Atlanta cameo is great. Man.
If this is the last time that we see Obi-Wan, I know there's rumors of second season, maybe whatever. If they don't do a second season, I'm happy with what they did here.
Yeah.
And the implication of this is how he was able to get the final training he needed to do what he does in A New Hope. To kind of disappear. Like I'm happy with that connection. I think they're good. I could see
bridged enough. I think. Yeah.
I think it is too. I don't really need more of this. I am not saying I wouldn't watch it day one. I totally would because I love Ewan McGregor and I love Star Wars, so I totally will. I'm just saying I don't need any more of that. And I think they wrapped it up in a very smart way that allows it to be like, if this is the final Obi-Wan story, it's great. We're good, and you don't have to do more.
Give that Leia kid a show.
Yeah,
give her own show.
She's great.
Give her
She's good little actress.
Let her grow up a few more years and give her own teen Leia.
The teen years.
Yeah, give me a Dawson's Creek on a different planet or whatever. Give me one of those.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to make sure we mentioned is they did allow Ewan to give a hello there before the show was over.
Yeah,
you had to have it. Yeah, I like how they saved it to like the last moment though.
Because there were other opportunities he could have said it throughout.
He said hello to that to Zach Braff, and like I'm like
he's like hello, and that's the end of my greeting to you.
Yeah, and that's all because I've never said anything after that ever. A lot of fan service there, man, and like this show was kind of like filled with a lot of that fan service, but not in a way where like, because I know a lot of you guys don't watch the cartoons stuff like that, and like y'all didn't seem lost or didn't know what was going on or didn't feel like you were missing context or anything like that. So, and I feel like Star Wars, like you just said, has always done really well with that. You can watch The Mandalorian, they can drop a term like the Darksaber, you not know what that is, but you're intrigued still. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is.
The beauty of things like YouTube have allowed me to see so many recaps and fast versions of Rebels and Clone Wars. Like, even though I haven't watched those start to finish, I probably never will, to be honest. There's so much content. I don't know that I'll ever watch it all the way through start to finish, every episode. I have seen the recaps and clips of all the major storylines. I knew what the Darksaber was when it showed up in The Mandalorian. I know who the Grand Inquisitor is. Like, I've seen these characters and I'm aware of who they are based on the cartoons. So that helped, of course, a lot because I'm a big fan of it, enough to sit there through hours of YouTube content. But I don't think I would have been lost even without that stuff.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's what's cool is even if you didn't do the homework, like I don't feel like you would have been robbed of much. So. You know what I mean? But for people like me who like
do the homework at all, and I'm still like
I'm like a walking encyclopedia for all the extra stuff that is there that isn't important to anything except for idiots like me who devote their life to it. Like that layer is there for me as well to enjoy. So it's just like I feel like they're really nailing it. Like I'd say whatever you will about Disney, like buying Star Wars, but Disney knows how to reach broader audiences. They just do. That's their whole entire business plan is casting out the biggest net possible or whatever. So whether that's by like making Pixar movies like not age gated, so like kids and parents can enjoy them alike. Just they're doing the same thing with Star Wars, not just with age, but just with the level of fan that you are. Like all fans are welcome. Just come on in and enjoy the content. Not many do, to be fair, but it is a pretty open platform for people to come in and enjoy it at their level, without having to do like the extra work.
Yeah, I will say that the one thing that I wish we knew more about was Wade, because they were really sad about Wade, and I still don't know. Do you guys remember that in that episode at the end when they were like, Wade? Yeah. What happened to Wade?
I don't remember.
He was the guy in the other snowspeeder who got killed. So like the Asian girl who's Deborah Chow, who directs and writes all the episodes. she survived, but like Wade, the guy in the second speeder, died.
Yeah.
It's just really funny to me that was a really sad moment on that episode. But I mean,
they had mentioned earlier that they're not soldiers, so like we don't fight, you know, we just help people. So when one of them died, that's why Tala was like, well, I guess you're soldiers now, which I thought was a really shitty thing to say after someone just died.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of, why would you say that?
as new characters go, I think Tala might have been my favorite new character of the season. I think the actress was great, and I thought her character was really interesting. I liked her.
Tala had just as much to do with Obi-Wan coming out of his shell as Leia did. You know, they both like got him back to where he was supposed to be. Yeah.
What about the dude there that kept being like, I'm not a leader, man. I'm not a leader. But then Obi-Wan's like, Broken, yeah. Is he important?
Ice Cube's kid?
Ice Cube's son?
Yeah.
Is it?
What do you mean, is it? He looks exactly like him. What do you mean?
Dude, wasn't he? Didn't even cross my... I didn't even put it... Now it makes sense.
So no, but they're obviously setting him up to show up in future projects, like Andor or something like that, because he goes out of his way to be like, you're a leader and don't give up. And he's like, I'm just getting started. Yeah, I think he's going to show up in some capacity.
I think
so. But he has not shown up before now. He's a new character.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's good for now. If we need to circle back to some point, we can. But I enjoyed it. Any other thoughts before we wrap up?
Star Wars sucks, right? I mean, it's just terrible.
It's just the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean that's the poll.
We're gonna watch it again.
If you took a poll, that's what it would say.
We're gonna wrap up our Obi-Wan talk. And listen, there's plenty of other places we could go with this. I don't know if Jeff's gonna fall asleep because of the stuff he ate that's now wearing off. But we're gonna.
Well, he's pulling a Derek now, so he's falling asleep.
Yeah. What? I have been awake this whole time. You just couldn't see me.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here.
Right? That's what gummies do, right? You can't see me now?
Yeah, that's right.